Chapter 1622. Springgrass. Lin Yi repeated the name of the herb, and his face turned extremely ugly. And at this moment, he finally understood what old Lin's but meant. Springgrass, as the name suggested, was a type of herb that grew in spring. It would wither right after spring, but the medicinal properties of this herb were all in the juice. In other words, only the fresh and tender spring grass juice would be effective. A withered spring grass would be the same as an ordinary withered grass. It was worthless. At this time, spring had already passed, and the spring grass had already withered. This meant that if Lin Yi wanted to cure the poison, he would have to wait until spring next year. If it were in the past, Lin Yi could wait, but not this year. This year, Lin Yi had a lot of important things to do. First, the noble house meeting was about to start, and Lin Yi had to raise his strength to Earth class before the meeting, and then forcefully raise his lackeys Chen Yutian, Wu Chen Tian, and Ling Shan to Earth class, and cause trouble for House Yu during the meeting. But now that he didn't have the strength, a golden class late phase peak bringing a few mystic early phase masters to cause trouble, that wasn't just looking for trouble, it was looking for death. And this wasn't the most important thing. The second stone door was about to open, and Lin Yi had become a half-cripple. How was he going to carry out the 5-year promise? Although the stone door seemed to only recognize the level of one's practitioner's arts and not strength, who knew if there would be trouble? Third, now that Lin Yi had become a golden class, those who had grudges with Lin Yi would all rush over to cause trouble for Lin Yi after hearing the news, wouldn't they? So Lin Yi had to recover his strength before the news spread. Lin Yi couldn't wait that long. Sacra, I say, old man, don't trick me. Hurry up and tell me the second method. Although the first method is feasible, I can't wait. Lin Yi said. Alright, but the second method is more difficult. Since you want to know, I'll tell you. Old Lin paused for a moment before continuing. As long as you cultivate to the Earth class, the poison from the 5-step dispersal powder will be neutralized by itself. You don't need to take any antidote at all. It's a natural treatment with no side effects. Ha! Lin Yi was stunned. I can't even pass the mystic rank now. You want me to directly cultivate to the Earth rank? Isn't that a joke? How is this possible? How would I know? Old man Lin rolled his eyes and said, I only told you the solution in the medical book. You're asking me how to cultivate, but how am I supposed to know? I think it's for you to absorb enough pure qi from the peak of the late phase of the golden class. You'll be able to surpass the early phase of the mystic class, the peak of the early phase of the mystic class, the peak of the mid phase of the mystic class, the late phase of the mystic class, and the peak of the late phase of the mystic class. Old man, do you think that's possible? Lin Yi didn't know what to say. It was already so difficult for him to reach the peak of the late phase of the mystic class from the late phase of the mystic class, let alone the Earth class. If Lin Yi was an Earth class before he lost his strength, then it might be possible for him to break through in one go. But now, Lin Yi felt that this method was too unrealistic. Impossible. 7 asterisk, old Lin said straightforwardly. Ah. Lin Yi paused. So, you can bring your first wife, second wife, and whatnot back to hide. Here, I don't dare say much about other things, but I do have some influence among the hidden houses. As long as you don't mess with the ancient sects, you won't be much of a threat. Old Lin said, plus, you have the Ice Palace Master Wife protecting you, so the ancient sects will give you some face. Come back and hide. Pfft. Lin Yi almost fainted. Hide? Are you kidding me? And who would even know who Xiao Xiao is? Old man, can you stop messing with me? The Ice Palace had made it very clear that Bing Tang wouldn't stand up for me. At least before Xiao Xiao becomes a Sky Realm expert, Bingtang wouldn't go against the other ancient aristocratic families or sects for me. Unless Xiao Xiao controls the Ice Palace. Besides, I have a lot of grievances to settle. The arrow is already knocked on the bowstring and has to be released. You sent me here, but you didn't solve anything. Instead, you left a big mess behind, and now you want me to go back and take refuge. Then pretend I didn't say anything. I've told you the method, you figure it out yourself. Old Lin yawned. I'm sleepy, I'm going back to sleep. Good night. With that, Old Lin hung up and ignored Lin Yi. Lin Yi was speechless, but he didn't have anything to complain about. Old Lin was telling the truth, and no matter how much he asked, these were the only two methods he could think of. The first method was definitely impossible. Spring grass had a seasonal characteristic, and this type of herb had to be planted according to the seasons and climates. Even if it was planted in a greenhouse, the things that came out would be completely different. Moreover, even if he could plant it now, it would be too late. From the time the grass was planted to germinate and mature, it would take at least 2 months. Moreover, there was only about half a month left for the aristocratic family assembly. The second method seemed difficult, but it was the only way. Even if Lin Yi knew it was difficult, he had to try it. But how was he going to test it? No matter what, Lin Yi had to first increase his strength to the peak of the late phase of the golden class, and then try to break through to the earth class. After entering the jade space, Lin Yi quickly changed his strength to the peak of the late phase of the golden class. Then, Lin Yi stopped and started to think of a solution. To break through 6 levels from the peak of the late phase of the golden class to the earth class was extremely difficult, and it required a large amount of pure qi. Just as old Lin said, if he could absorb all this pure qi into his body, then he could instantly break through the mystic class and become an earth class. But how could he absorb all this pure qi into his body at once? Cultivation had to be done step by step, and everything had to be done in an orderly manner. He couldn't break the rules, could he? From the peak of the late phase of the golden class to the earth class, how much energy is needed to level up in one go? And how do I absorb all this energy into my body? Lin Yi frowned and muttered to himself. Chapter 1623. Don't you know how to compress qi? Why don't you try sucking it in? Jiao Yazi, who hadn't spoken all this while, spoke up lazily to Lin Yi. 7*, that's right. Lin Yi came to a sudden realization, he knew how to compress qi. He could compress it outside his body, and once it reached a certain amount, he could absorb it all into his body. Wouldn't he be able to break through in one go? Thinking about this, Lin Yi really wanted to run over and kiss Jiao Lao. But he was afraid that the old thing would think that they were good friends. Lin Yi thought about it and decided not to. If he had the time, he might as well start experimenting right now. Lin Yi estimated the amount of energy he would need to go from golden class late phase peak to mystic class late phase peak, and then started compressing the energy around his body. Although he didn't know if this method would work, Lin Yi had no other choice. He could only try it as a last resort. Compressing energy required time and control. At the beginning, it was easier for Lin Yi to compress energy, but as time went on, it became harder and harder to control. Lin Yi realized that the maximum amount of energy he could compress each time was the total amount of energy in his body. In other words, the amount of energy Lin Yi could compress now was equal to the total amount of energy in Lin Yi's body. Once it exceeded this amount, it became a lot harder for Lin Yi to compress. Not only did it slow down, but he also felt that the energy outside his body was becoming extremely unstable, as if it would explode if he wasn't careful. Lin Yi could only slowly compress it as if he was walking on thin ice. It was like building blocks, the higher the pile, the harder it was. If he wasn't careful, it could all fall down. Finally, Lin Yi felt that he couldn't control it anymore and quickly sucked the compressed qi into his body. Lin Yi was afraid that the compressed energy would explode in an instant, so he chose to release it slowly, bit by bit. Although it was slow, it was only a little slower than normal release speed. Even if it was just a little slower, it wouldn't have caused such an explosion. It was like a balloon that might explode if you poked it with a needle. However, if you released the air plug, the balloon would not explode even though it would deflate quickly. To consider the reason why Lin Yi didn't dare to be too slow was because he was afraid that the poison of the 5-step powder would act up again after he broke through the mystic stage. Late phase of mystic class. This time, the compressed energy Lin Yi absorbed was only enough for him to recover to the late phase of mystic class. After that, the poison of the 5-step disperse powder acted up once more, and the energy in Lin Yi's body leaked out once more, and Lin Yi became a normal person once more. However, Lin Yi was not disheartened. The facts proved that his method was still feasible. So Lin Yi didn't give up. After resting for a while, he once again raised his strength to the peak of the late phase of the golden class and started to compress his qi again. To be honest, it was really like playing a game. He held the compressed energy ball in his hand carefully, afraid that it would explode if he wasn't careful. As expected, very soon, Lin Yi accidentally made the energy ball explode. However, Lin Yi didn't give up, because the energy ball he made this time was obviously bigger than the first one, and the energy inside was also more. Although it was only a small difference, it represented the first step of success. Lin Yi believed that with his perseverance and hard work, victory wasn't far away. This was a technical job. Lin Yi carefully started to compress the third energy ball, hidden in the Tang family. After Old Master Tang arranged the family affairs, he brought Tang Yuyu and Xiao Ming and prepared to head to the ice-snow spiritual mountain. Everyone in the family felt that it was very strange. Ever since Old Master Tang became a heaven-class expert, he had never left the house. He had always been cultivating in seclusion at home, and he rarely asked about the family's affairs. At this time, he suddenly wanted to go out, and he even brought Tang Yuyu and Xiao Ming with him. If he only brought Tang Yuyu, it would still make sense. But bringing Xiao Ming, a daughter-in-law who had been thrown into the cold palace by the eldest daughter-in-law many years ago, was a little strange. Tang Yuyu's father, eldest Tang, wanted to say something but stopped. He wanted to ask his father what he was going to do this time, but he didn't dare to ask. Although Old Master Tang was no longer the head of the family, he still had the final say in the matters of the hidden Tang family. Moreover, if he didn't agree, eldest Tang's position as the head of the family would be useless. And Old Master Tang didn't say where he was going or what he was going to do, so everyone in the Tang family was even more puzzled. He didn't dare to ask Grandfather Tang, but eldest brother Tang dared to ask his son. In private, eldest brother Tang found an opportunity to pull Tang Yuyu into his room and asked him in a low voice, "Yuyu, what are you going to do with Grandfather Tang? Why is this so sudden? There weren't any signs at all. Father, don't make things difficult for me. How can I say anything about Grandpa's decision? Moreover, I don't know much. You know Grandpa's temper. If I say anything, won't I make Grandpa angry?" Tang Yuyu smiled bitterly as he explained. Eldest Tang sighed. He knew what Old Master Tang was thinking. Once he made a decision, it was a decision. It was useless for others to say anything. Moreover, this child, Yuyu, didn't know much. At most, he was just a foil. But Old Master Tang also called Xiao Ming along. That was a little strange. Xiao Ming was his concubine. Logically speaking, Old Master Tang was her father-in-law. Wasn't it a little inappropriate for him to bring her along? After thinking about it, Tang Yuyu could only find Xiao Ming to ask. Thus, he sighed and said to Yu, "Forget it, Yu. Go do what you need to do. It's fine now." After Tang Yu left, eldest Tang quickly walked to the courtyard where Xiaoming was. He hadn't stepped into this courtyard for more than 10 years. He was a timid man. Back then, after his wife flew into a rage, eldest Tang didn't dare to meet with Xiaoming in private anymore. It was as if he had forgotten about this concubine. If it wasn't for the fact that he had something to do today, he wouldn't have come here. "Patriarch, please stop." Eldest Tang was walking with a heavy heart. Suddenly, a voice rang out. Then, a black shadow floated over and blocked in front of eldest Tang. Eldest Tang was about to get angry when he was blocked. But when he saw the person in front of him, his expression froze. He quickly put on a smile and said, "Isn't this Uncle De? Uncle Debai, why are you here?" "I came to see Xiaoming. Target =_blank. Chapter 1624. Master, please go back. No one is allowed to enter or leave this courtyard for now. Uncle De Bo said plainly. "This. Uncle, Xiaoming is my concubine. Isn't it natural for me to visit her? Why are you?" Eldest brother Tang's expression didn't look too good. Although De Bo was one of Elder Tang's people, wasn't he being too lenient? He was here to visit his concubine, why couldn't he? This is the old master's order. "I'm sorry," De Bo said expressionlessly. "Master, don't make things difficult for me." "Ah." Tang Laode stared blankly for a moment. When he heard that it was his father's idea, he sighed. It seemed that his wish to obtain information from Xiaoming had failed. If he tried to force his way in, not only would he not be able to defeat Uncle De, if his father found out about it, his position as the family head would be in jeopardy. Thinking up to this point, eldest brother Tang could only leave helplessly. Elder Tang's reason for leaving was very strange. It was going to be his 80th birthday soon. Before the birthday, he wanted to go out and have a look. And he brought Tang Yu because he was the eldest grandson, so he wanted to bring him along to gain some experience. This reason made sense. Elder Tang's thoughts were wild and imaginative, so no one doubted it. But for Xiaoming, Elder Tang's reason was that Xiaoming had been cooped up at home for so many years. After all, she was the daughter-in-law of the Tang family. It wasn't good to treat her like this, so he brought her out to relax. If it wasn't for the fact that Elder Tang had given up on alcohol and women long ago, everyone in the family would have thought that Elder Tang was interested in Xiaoming. But the hidden Tang family was rich and powerful. What kind of beautiful woman couldn't they find? If Elder Tang wanted to, he could find a whole bunch of them. It was impossible for him to have any ideas about Xiaoming. And this way, the combination of these three people was even more unfathomable. But even though they were unfathomable, the hidden Tang family still had to operate. Elder Tang brought Tang Yu and Xiaoming away, while eldest brother Tang continued to be the head of the family. Also, he didn't dare to send anyone to follow Elder Tang to see what he was doing. After all, Grandfather Tang was a heaven-rank expert. His perception was extremely strong. If eldest brother Tang did something behind his back and Grandfather Tang found out, he would have to bear the consequences. Once old Master Tang left the house, he brought Tang Yu and Xiaoming straight to the icy snow spiritual mountain. When they reached the icy snow spiritual town, they arrived at the inn opened by Manager Li of the Ice Palace. "Hello, we're checking in," Tang Yu politely said to Manager Li, who was sitting there with his eyes closed and almost asleep. 7 *, stay in the inn. Manager Li was taken aback. He raised his head and looked at Tang Yu. His expression changed immediately. His memory was quite good, and he had an impression of Tang Yu. This person was one of the Ice Palace's trial takers, but he couldn't remember exactly which sect he was from. It's you. Why are you back? Hello, Manager Lee. This is my grandfather, the head of the Hidden Tang family. This time, I'm actually here to see the Ice Palace's palace master. I hope that elderly can help me report this. Tang Yuyu knew his position in the eyes of the Ice Palace, so he didn't beat around the bush and told Manager Lee his request. Although it was a bit direct, he believed that if he beat around the bush, it would annoy Manager Lee even more. Oh. Seeking an audience with the Ice Palace's palace master? Manager Lee couldn't help but find Tang Yuyu's words funny. A small hidden family's head was actually seeking an audience with an ancient sect's palace master. Wasn't he overestimating himself? However, shopkeeper Lee still held back his laughter and said, "If you have something to say, I can help you pass on the message, but when it comes to requesting an audience with the palace lord, let alone you, even I would find it difficult to request an audience." That's fine. I'll write a letter and ask Manager Lee to pass it on. Is that all right? Tang Yuyu didn't insist. After all, he was right. How could someone from the Hidden Tang family meet the Ice Palace master just like that? That's fine. Manager Lee was in charge of the Ice Palace's communications. He was in charge of the Ice Palace's communications with other sects and families. So, Tang Yuyu's request wasn't too much, so he agreed. Then I'll have to trouble you, Manager Lee. First, get us 2 rooms. We'll stay here and wait for the palace master's reply. Tang Yuyu said. Staying here is no problem, but I can't guarantee that the palace master won't reply. Manager Lee said. Give me your ID and a deposit, and I'll get you a room. Elder Tang, Tang Yuyu, and Xiao Ming quickly took out their IDs and deposits. After paying, they received their room cards and returned to their rooms. As for the letter to the Ice Palace master, it was rather simple. Tang Yuyu and Old Man Tang discussed it for a bit and decided to simply write down their speculations about her past and invite her to meet them. The letter was written very politely. Even if they weren't relatives, the Ice Palace master wouldn't blame them for a Hidden Tang family. After writing the letter, Tang Yuyu sealed it and handed it to Manager Lee for him to pass it to the palace master. The 3 of them waited in the inn for news. At the peak of the snow mountain, within the sect master's room, Qing's expression was solemn as she held a letter and ran to the sect master. Sect master, please take a look at this letter. The Ice Palace master's letters were usually screened by little Qing first. Those that could be dealt with would be dealt with, and those that couldn't be dealt with would be handed over to Bingtang. And this letter was obviously one of the most important ones. Bingtang was startled. She rarely saw little Qing in such a hurry. Aunt Qing, where did this letter come from? Why are you in such a rush? Palace master, you should take a look for yourself. Little Qing smiled bitterly and said with a strange expression. Oh. Okay. Rock Candy saw that little Qing's expression was a little unnatural, so she nodded and took the letter. She read it, but halfway through, Rock Candy's face changed. Her hands holding the letter were also trembling slightly. After all, she was an expert at the peak of the late phase of the heaven rank. She rarely showed her emotions, but this time, she lost her composure. Do I look like me? Aunt Qing, is that possible? This. Palace master, this. Xiao Qing muttered to herself for a moment and decided to speak the truth. Palace master, do you really care about your past? Little Qing's words couldn't help but make Bingtang silent. Chapter 1625. She grew up in the Ice Palace and had never seen her biological parents. Here, Aunt Qing and her were like her family, taking care of her. To be honest, Bingtang thought that this was enough. Even if she didn't have parents, it didn't matter. She thought that she would be relieved. However, after reading this letter, Bingtang realized that she still couldn't let it go in her heart. He wanted to know. He wanted to know who his parents were. He wanted to know why his parents abandoned him. Why did they do that? They gave birth to her but didn't raise her. And this letter was written by the Hidden Tang family. This made Rock Candy even more confused and angry. Hidden Tang family wasn't as powerful as the Ice Palace, but in the mortal world, they were still a huge existence. They were many times more powerful than the noble families. How could such a noble family abandon their child? Did they do it on purpose or by accident? And after finding out that she was the sect master of the Ice Palace, they wanted to recognize her. What did they do before? However, despite her anger, Bingtang was still trying to excuse her parents. Perhaps they really did accidentally lose her back then, or perhaps it wasn't that they didn't stop looking for her, but that they had been looking for her all these years. However, she was in the Ice Palace. How could they find her? They couldn't find her at all. These reasons calmed the grief and indignation in Bingtang's heart a little. She was a person who didn't show her emotions and usually looked cold. After taking a deep breath, she put the letter on the table beside her and said lightly, "Aunt Qing, you raised me up and taught me martial arts. You are the closest person to me. But my birth parents, no matter for what reason they abandoned me, they are still my parents after all. It is impossible for me to say that I don't care. But I just want to figure out what happened in the past and figure out my life experience. Aunt Qing, you never mentioned the situation when you and the old lady picked me up. Now, can you tell me about it?" Sigh. Qing sighed. "It's not that I didn't want to tell you before, but I was afraid that it would affect your mood. You were still young then, and your mind wasn't stable. But now, you are a heaven-class late-phase peak master. You don't have to care about this anymore. But since you didn't ask, I didn't bring up the sad past. Now that it happened, I will tell you about what happened back then." "Yes, Aunt Qing, please speak." Rock Candy gestured for him to speak. Her mood had returned to calmness. Her expression was very indifferent, and no one could tell whether she was happy or sad. "Back then, I wasn't a sky class yet, but I was so close to breaking through from late phase peak to sky class. The old sect master saw this, and took me out on a journey so that I could break through." Qing said, "You know that in many situations, getting to Earth class depends on hard work, and after that depends on luck. Sky class isn't that easy to get into, and our Ice Palace wasn't as strong as it is now. Having another sky class was a good thing. Therefore, the old palace master brought me to travel the secular world, and the place we traveled to was where the Hidden Tang family was." "What? It's really hidden in the Tang family?" Rock Candy's expression changed slightly. Originally, she had some doubts about the credibility of this letter. However, after hearing little Qing's words, her heart immediately tightened. Could it be that what was written in this letter was true? It was where the Hidden Tang family was. It was a snowy night, and the old palace master and I were preparing to go outside to comprehend, to see if there was an opportunity to break through. Qing said. Rock Candy nodded. Their Ice Palace's hard arts were mainly based on ice. The colder the area and weather, the more beneficial it was for them. And when I, the old palace master Ha, came to an empty field to prepare, I suddenly heard waves of baby crying. Little Qing said, out of curiosity, you and I followed the sound. In the end, we found a swaddle in the snow. That baby was me. Rock Candy had already guessed that the baby in the snow was her without a doubt. Yes, at that time, the palace master's face was already red from the cold, but you still didn't die. This made the old palace master and I very confused. Little Qing said, when we arrived at the outskirts, there was no one nearby. With your perception as a heaven rank expert, you should be able to sense the surroundings from far away. In other words, the person who abandoned you must have walked for at least half an hour. And in this half an hour, you, a newborn baby, actually didn't freeze to death in this snowy wilderness. It's really amazing. Rock Candy's face slightly darkened. Wilderness. If it was in a bustling market, it could still explain that she was accidentally lost. But in the wilderness, and in the middle of the night, it was obviously abandoned. That place was desolate and uninhabited. Rock Candy asked. Yes, or else you and I wouldn't be there. Ching said, we knew that the hidden Tang family was in that town, so we deliberately distanced ourselves from their place. The goal was to not be sensed by them. You have to know that when we move, we will use the surrounding spiritual energy. If we are close, we will be sensed by others. Aunt Ching, continue. Rock Candy didn't say anything else and just signaled Ching to continue. Originally, the old palace master's intention was to bring you back to the ice palace, find someone to raise you, and keep you in the ice palace. Ching continued, but you didn't freeze to death after so long. The old palace master was curious, so he subconsciously checked your body to see if there were any frostbite. In the end, he found out that you actually have a fake ice heart jade bone physique. This is a special constitution that is second only to the icy heart jade bone constitution. It's perfect for our ice palace's mental cultivation method. That's why the elder palace master was so excited back then. He didn't expect to have such an opportunity. You should know that the icy heart jade bone constitution is a constitution that only appears once in 100 years. Even the elder palace master himself doesn't have it. At that time, it was all thanks to Aunt Ching. Otherwise, even if I had a fake ice heart and jade bone physique, I would have frozen to death. When Bing Tang said this, there was not much expression on her face. However, little Ching could hear the anger in her words. She could not help but smile bitterly. This hidden Tang family was really lost, and now they were looking for it again. After that, the old palace master and I carried you back to the hotel. In the end, we found a Tang character on your swaddling clothes, so we guessed that your real surname might be Tang. Little Ching continued. Chapter 1626. What? It's really Tang, then the hidden Tang family and me. Rock Candy's breathing quickened. Palace Master, the surname Tang is a common surname. In the entire town, many families have this surname. It might not be the hidden Tang family, so we didn't think it was the hidden Tang family at all. Little Ching waved her hand and explained, at that time, we saw the word Tang, so the Palace Master gave you the name Rock Candy. Because the Palace Master saw your physique, she wanted to take you in as her last disciple and take over the Ice Palace. So, she gave you the surname of the Ice Palace. I see. Rock Candy nodded and said self-deprecatingly, if that's the case, then let's go and meet this elder Tang who might be my grandfather. Little Ching nodded her head silently. She understood Rock Candy's thoughts. Especially after hearing about what happened that year, Rock Candy found it hard to calm down. Rock Candy and Little Ching's appearance gave Grandfather Tang and Tang Yu a fright. It could only be described as appearing without a sound, standing quietly in front of them. Even Grandfather Tang, a heaven-rank initial stage expert, could not sense the slightest bit of his aura. Rock Candy was a heaven-rank late-phase expert, so naturally, she was powerful. But Little Ching was a heaven-rank middle-stage expert, yet Grandfather Tang couldn't sense it. This made Grandfather Tang understand that he, a heaven-rank early-stage expert, had only just entered the door. He was still far from the other party. When Grandfather Tang saw Rock Candy in person, he was visibly moved. Although the person in front of him didn't look exactly like Little Ming, they looked very similar. His heart was filled with excitement. If the palace master of the Ice Palace was really from the Hidden Tang family, then wouldn't the Hidden Tang family become the Ancient Tang family? This Tang greets the palace master of the Ice Palace. Although Grandfather Tang was excited, he maintained his composure as he cupped his fists and bowed. Although he might be Rock Candy's grandfather, he was not yet, right? Tang Tang, is that you? Xiao Ming looked at Rock Candy in a daze. This young woman in front of her gave her an inexplicable sense of closeness. She was 70 to 80% similar to when she was young. You are. Rock Candy's heart was in turmoil. When she saw the woman in front of her, she also felt a sense of familiarity. However, because of the resentment in her heart for what happened in the past, her attitude was very cold. You're Tang Tang. You must be Tang Tang. Xiao Ming didn't care if the other party was an expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven rank. She directly ran over and hugged Tang Tang. Old Man Tang and Tang Yuyu broke out in cold sweat. If this kind of rude behavior made the other party angry, they would have to bear the consequences. Rock Candy frowned but didn't push Xiao Ming away in the end. At this moment, the resentment in her heart was suppressed by Bing Tang. Regardless of what Elder Tang was thinking, the woman in front of him was definitely showing her true feelings. Rock Candy was a heaven stage expert. How sharp was her divine sense? This Xiao Ming was only an ordinary person. If she had the slightest bit of pretense, it naturally wouldn't escape Bing Tang's eyes. Xiao Ming's feelings for Bing Tang came from the bottom of her heart. How could such a person be the heartless parents who abandoned her in the past? Bing Tang wasn't stupid. There might be some hidden story behind this. She looked at the respectful old Master Tang, then looked at the agitated Xiao Ming. Comparing the expressions of the two of them, Rock Candy was very clear. My name is Bing Tang. This. Auntie, can you let go of me first? Bing Tang hesitated for a while and called Xiao Ming Auntie. Before confirming, Bing Tang wouldn't call her anything. Although, in her heart, Bing Tang was pretty sure that Xiao Ming was related to her. If not, how could there be such similar people in this world? At first glance, the two of them looked very similar. Although looking at them carefully, there were still many differences. However, they looked exactly the same. They were twins, not mother and daughter. Ah. Okay. Xiao Ming suddenly remembered that the other party's identity was the leader of an ancient sect. That was a much higher existence than the Hidden Tang family. Seeing that the usually arrogant Elder Tang was so respectful, Xiao Ming instantly rubbed her hands awkwardly and didn't know what to do. Tang. Elder Tang, I want to clarify something. Back then, how did you lose your child? Bing Tang didn't blame Xiao Ming for being rude. Instead, she directly looked at Elder Tang and asked. Palace Master, back then, a servant brought Tang Tang out to play. In the end, the servant was in urgent need of the toilet and wanted to find a place to relieve himself. So, he placed Tang Tang on the snowy ground and went to relieve himself. Because he took a long time to relieve himself, when he returned, he discovered that Tang Tang was already gone. Elder Tang had already thought of an excuse. This was also what he and Tang Yuyu had previously said. Although Xiao Ming knew that this was a lie, she didn't have any right to say anything. Now that she could reunite with her daughter, she was already satisfied. So, Xiao Ming pursed her lips and lowered her head, afraid that her expression would reveal something. However, Bing Tang had been paying attention to Xiao Ming's expression. The more Xiao Ming acted like this, the more suspicious Bing Tang became. After hearing Elder Tang's explanation, she calmly said, Oh, that means, that servant accidentally lost the baby? Where did that servant go? Why isn't he here? That servant has already been executed. She made such a big mistake, how could I let her live? Grandfather Tang pretended to be angry. She lost my granddaughter. How could she expect to live? Oh, then what's her strength? Rock Candy continued to ask. She. Grandfather Tang was stunned. He did not know why Bing Tang would suddenly ask about this servant's strength. For a moment, he was unable to react. However, he was a cautious person and couldn't help but vaguely say, it was too long ago, I don't remember it clearly. Nonsense. Bing Tang snorted coldly, I'm an expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven rank. Can't she sense if there's anyone within a 1-kilometer radius? Urinate. It's really rare for your family servants to relieve themselves, huh? Ran a kilometer away. Cold sweat broke out on Grandfather Tang's forehead. He never thought that the person who picked up the rock candy was her. Furthermore, she was an expert at the peak of heaven stage late phase. At this moment, Grandfather Tang finally understood why Bing Tang had asked him about the servant's strength. Chapter 1627. Only someone who was also a heaven ranker could hide from the divine sense of a heaven ranker and not be discovered by a heaven ranker. If one were to say that the servant was not discovered because he was a heaven ranker, that would be pure bullshit. Let alone a hidden aristocratic family, even if it was an ancient sect or an ancient family, if a heaven-ranked expert did not commit an unforgivable crime, they would not be executed so easily. Not to mention the fact that he lost a baby and it wasn't intentional. Even if it was intentional, they couldn't just execute him. Unless the family had a lot of heaven rankers, but the hidden Tang family was obviously not like that. I want to hear the truth. Bing Tang said plainly, does old Master Tang think that I am easy to bully because I am young? After saying that, the aura of a peak late-stage heaven rank was completely unleashed. Old Master Tang, who was standing there, couldn't help but shiver and almost fell to the ground. As for Tang Yu, he was so scared that he didn't dare to raise his head. On the contrary, Xiao Ming, who was an ordinary person, looked at Rock Candy with deep love in her eyes. How would this Tang dare? Old Master Tang smiled bitterly. It was true that Bing Tang was his granddaughter, but she was also the palace master of the Ice Palace. What kind of existence was that? Even the old ancestor of the Everyday and Everyday Day sect had to respect her. He was just a heaven ranker. In her eyes, he was really nothing. Since you don't want to speak, please go back. Let bygones be bygones, I don't want to hear it anymore. Bing Tang said plainly and turned to leave. Tang. Don't go. Xiao Ming saw that Bing Tang was about to leave and subconsciously rushed over, wanting to pull her back. But when she thought of the fact that she was a heaven-ranked expert, she instinctively let go of Bing Tang's arm. She was a little timid and careful. Sorry. Palace Master Bing, looking at the girl in front of her, who was very likely to be her mother, Bing Tang sighed. For now, she didn't care what that old fox old Master Tang was thinking. This Xiao Ming should be caring for her. Thinking of this, Bing Tang stopped in her tracks. What exactly happened that year? Sigh. It's all fate. Old Master Tang sighed dejectedly. Forget it. Our family's misfortune, this old man will take the blame. Xiao Ming, you should say it. Back then, Elder Tang had also given his approval. Without his approval, how could the servants of the Tang family lose a granddaughter? My father. Xiao Ming didn't know what to say and didn't dare to say anything casually. Back then, old Master Tang had reminded her repeatedly not to speak carelessly, so Xiao Ming didn't know what to say now. Just tell the truth. If we lie, someone as powerful as Palace Master Bing Tang will be able to tell with a single glance. Grandfather Tang subtly flattered Rock Candy. However, Rock Candy's expression was very indifferent as she said, let's talk in another room. After speaking, he turned and walked towards the door. Bosley, who was behind him, also cleverly prepared a room for Bing-Tang. Xiaoming hesitated for a moment, then followed. Old Man Tang and Tang Yuyu didn't follow either. The Ice Palace Master clearly didn't want them to participate, so they didn't want to be hated. As for eavesdropping, although Old Man Tang was a Heaven Realm expert, he didn't dare to do so. Rock Candy and Little Qing were both Heaven Realm experts, and they were much stronger than him. If he eavesdropped like this, he would definitely be discovered. If he angered Rock Candy, it wouldn't be worth it. Bosley didn't enter the room. After letting Rock Candy, Little Qing and Xiaoming enter, he closed the door and guarded it like a door god. Being alone with Rock Candy, Xiaoming was a little nervous and a little excited. The person in front of her was most likely her daughter, but Xiaoming didn't dare to rashly acknowledge her, nor did she dare to say anything. She just stood there cautiously, not knowing what to do. "Auntie, please take a seat." Rock Candy's tone was much gentler than before. Just now, she was the high and mighty palace master of Ice Palace, but now, she was a little girl without any airs. "Ah, okay." Xiaoming hurriedly nodded and sat down obediently. "Auntie, you don't have to be so reserved. I can tell that you are very worried about your daughter, right?" Rock Candy looked at Xiaoming and couldn't help but sigh. I. In these 19 years, there wasn't a day that I didn't miss my daughter." Hearing Rock Candy's question, Xiaoming's tears instantly flowed down. She felt a little sad and miserable. "That is my child, my flesh and blood. But she left me a few days after she was born. I miss her every day. I want her to return to my arms and call me Mummy." Xiaoming's chatterbox started to open up. She told Rock Candy all her yearning for her daughter all these years, but in the end, it was all about yearning and longing. There wasn't any main point. But Rock Candy didn't disturb her. She listened quietly, listening to this mother's yearning for her daughter. To be honest, Rock Candy didn't really care about Old Man Tang. So what if he was her grandfather? Back then, he abandoned her. That was equivalent to cutting off all ties. But she couldn't not care about Xiaoming. From how Xiaoming carefully asked about Old Man Tang's situation just now, she could tell that Xiaoming's position in the Tang family wasn't high. She definitely wasn't the young mistress. The identity of her mother that was written in the letter was definitely nonsense. From the looks of it now, she was at most a concubine. Then, how did you end up separating from her? After Xiaoming finished speaking, Rock Candy sighed and asked. To be honest, at that moment, Rock Candy even wanted to pounce on Xiaoming and call her Mummy. But she resisted the urge and didn't do that. Firstly, the matter wasn't confirmed yet. Secondly, she still hadn't thought of how to deal with her relationship with the hidden Tang family. That year, Xiaoming's chatterbox started to open up. My sister married a child from a branch of the hidden Tang family. Although he was also part of the Tang family, he wasn't a direct relative of Old Man Tang. He was a collateral relative and could only be considered as a member of the same family. But when he married and had children, he had to go to the hidden Tang family to register. It was at that time that I accompanied my sister and brother-in-law to go to the Tang family to register. Then, the young master of the Tang family, who is also Tang's father, took a fancy to me. Under the influence of alcohol, I couldn't resist even if I wanted to. Speaking up to this point, Xiaoming sighed slightly. She didn't have any background and was just a girl from an ordinary family. When faced with such a situation, how could she be a match for Boss Tang? Target =_blank. Chapter 1628. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Rock Candy snorted. She didn't expect the Hidden Tang family's big young master to be such a bad person. Then, I was left in the Hidden Tang family and became Big Young Master's concubine. Not long after, I got pregnant. Xiao Ming sighed. But Big Young Mistress saw me as a thorn in her side. She was also from a hidden family, so she didn't like me and wanted to teach me a lesson. I almost had a miscarriage a few times. Xiao Ming recounted the situation back then, until the eldest young mistress sent people to snatch the child away. Rock Candy was infuriated and slammed her palm on the jade table in the room of the inn. However, the jade table turned into a pile of powder. Big Young Mistress. Is she very powerful? Rock Candy's voice was very cold. If that Big Young Mistress was in front of her, Rock Candy would have slapped her to death. No matter how powerful the hidden family behind her was, they wouldn't dare to fart in front of Rock Candy. They would even clap their hands and say, "Good hit." Sigh, you can't blame her for this. It's normal for her to be jealous. Xiao Ming shook her head. Normal? Then, that Big Young Master is too useless. Rock Candy said plainly. He can't even control his own woman, so how can he be the head of the family? He might as well die. Xiao Ming felt a little awkward. Although the two of them weren't very happy when they first got together, after so many years and they even had a child, Xiao Ming still had some feelings for Boss Tang. She also knew of his difficulties, so she didn't hate anyone. She was that kind of person. Let's find a hospital and do a paternity test. Although we look similar, nothing is too strange in this world. Rock Candy calmed her emotions and said plainly, "If you are really my mother, then you can stay in the Ice Palace. I don't want to go back to that family, and I can't go back either." This. Xiao Ming was stunned. She knew what old Master Tang meant. He wanted Rock Candy to return to the family. That way, the Hidden Tang family's power would increase more than double. But now, Rock Candy didn't seem to have any intention of returning to the Tang family. We'll talk about other things when the time comes. Rock Candy could tell that Xiao Ming was in a difficult position and sighed in her heart at how kind she was. However, everything would have to wait until the results of the paternity test was out. Now that science was so advanced, it was very easy to do a paternity test. Although Bingtang was in an ancient sect, she was not the kind of person who did not pay attention to the outside world. She still knew about the technology outside. Okay. Xiao Ming hurriedly nodded. After leaving the room and returning to Old Master Tang's previous room, Old Master Tang saw that Bingtang's expression wasn't very good and wanted to ask how Xiao Ming was doing. However, he hesitated, not knowing what to say, afraid that he would anger Bingtang. "Go to the hospital for a paternity test," Bingtang said faintly. Good. I'll go now." Grandfather Tang was overjoyed. By saying this, did Rock Candy want to acknowledge the Tang family's identity? At the thought of this, Elder Tang was overjoyed. Bingtang didn't care about Elder Tang's expression and directly walked out of the room, leaving behind a few words. "Wait for me here tomorrow morning." With that, Rock Candy left the inn with Little Qing and returned to the Ice Snow Spiritual Mountain. Only Old Master Tang, who was so happy that his mouth was twitching, and Xiao Ming, who was a little reluctant to leave, were left behind. As for Tang Yu, he felt that things weren't that simple. Who was this Palace Master Bing? She was the head of an ancient sect. How could she go back to the Tang family to acknowledge her ancestors? If it was really an accident that year, it would still be fine. However, what happened that year wasn't an accident. "My dear mother, you're really a scammer," Tang Yu scolded in his heart. Not only did she scam her own father, she also scammed the entire Hidden Tang family. Such an amazing person was thrown away just like that. This night was destined to be a sleepless night. Xiao Ming was so excited that she couldn't sleep. Her heart was filled with sweetness. Old Master Tang and Tang Yuyu thought about the future of the Tang family, both worried and happy. Bing Tang didn't know how to face this hidden Tang family. Boss Tang, that father of hers. Kill him. Her mother, Xiao Ming, definitely wouldn't agree. She had no choice but to use that eldest young mistress as an example. As for the hidden family behind eldest young mistress, Bing Tang didn't even care about them. Palace Master, rest early. Little Qing saw Bing Tang's worries and couldn't help but advise. Okay, Aunt Qing. Although Bing Tang said that, she didn't feel sleepy at all. The next morning, Bing Tang brought little Qing to the inn as promised. Old Master Tang, Tang Yuyu and Xiao Ming were already dressed and waiting in the lobby of the inn. When they saw Bing Tang and little Qing, they immediately went over to welcome them respectfully. Bing Tang and little Qing didn't wear their usual silk clothes today. Instead, they changed into normal clothes. The current Bing Tang looked like a normal young girl, bright and beautiful, just like a university student. However, Bing Tang's face was still as cold as ever. There wasn't a trace of a smile on her face. The few of them didn't say much. Since Bing Tang didn't say anything, Old Master Tang and the others naturally didn't dare to say anything. They directly got into the car and headed to the nearest hospital to do a paternity test. The two cars directly drove to the nearest hospital. After registering, Bing Tang and Xiao Ming entered the laboratory together to do mitochondrial sequencing and autosomal STR typing. Because there weren't many people doing this, the results were out very quickly. Bing Tang was expressionless, while Xiao Ming was excited and nervous. As for Old Master Tang and Tang Yuyu, their hearts were filled with bitterness. Bing Tang knew that her initial plan had failed. Whether hiding the Tang family was a blessing or a curse, she still wasn't sure. The results were finally out. However, the results were a little strange. The DNA similarity between the two of them is around 25%. In theory, the DNA similarity between mother and daughter should be above 50%. However, we can't rule out exceptions, the doctor said. The doctor said, although this similarity may also appear between two strangers and ordinary people, the possibility is very small. This kind of similarity mostly appears in maternal family members, so the possibility of the two examiners being mother and daughter cannot be ruled out. Old Master Tang was stunned by the doctor's words. Possible? How could it only be possible? How could such a situation happen? He couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. How did your hospital do the test? How could there be a possibility? What we can confirm now is that the examiner should be a member of the maternal family. The father didn't come. If the father came, we could do a DNA test and we would be able to confirm it, the doctor explained. If the father didn't come, can grandfather do it? Old Master Tang was a little regretful that he didn't bring eldest brother Tang along. Grandfather can do it too. We can do a Y chromosome STR typing. If the Y chromosome comparison results are out and the examiner is also a member of the paternal family, we can confirm the child's identity, the doctor said. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1629. On the other hand, he admired third concubine's character very much. Thus, he had played with third concubine since he was young. His relationship with third concubine was even deeper than that of his biological mother. So, without waiting for Elder Tang to express his opinion, Tang Yuyu spoke first. No matter what, no matter how bad that woman is, she is still my mother. Elder Qing, do you think it's possible for her to switch places with third aunt? I have been close to third auntie since I was young and I will treat her like my own mother. Third auntie can prove this. Although Tang Yuyu's words were clear, he was also telling little Qing that his mother and Xiao Ming's places had been swapped. Since their places had changed, their identities had naturally changed too. However, he didn't kill them all. Holy Church, I can prove this. I brought Yu up to play with since he was young. He has always loved and respected me. Xiao Ming quickly added. Sure. Little Qing nodded. Then, it's decided. When Elder Tang arrives, get Xiao Li, who is also Manager Li, to contact me. This. Elder Qing, it will be this Tang's 80th birthday soon. Everyone in the Tang family will be attending, including my cousin's branch family. So, do you think the Palace Lord can also attend as a member of the Tang family? Elder Tang asked carefully. How about this? It won't be too late to do a DNA test when we get there. I can't make this decision. I will ask the Palace Master first before giving you an answer. Little Qing didn't say anything, she just took note of it. Okay. Grandfather Tang happily nodded his head. Elder Qing, thank you for your trouble. Little Qing waved her hands and didn't reply. She turned around and left Elder Tang's room. Then, she floated away. After hearing Little Qing's words, Rock Tang hesitated for a moment before agreeing to Elder Tang's request. Firstly, she wanted to see the place where she was born. Secondly, she wanted to take this opportunity to go out for a walk. In the past 20 years, Rock Tang had spent her entire life in the Ice Palace. She had never left the Ice Palace. News from the outside was passed on by the outer disciples. She had never seen it herself. So, Elder Tang's suggestion moved her heart. It wasn't because she wanted to give Elder Tang face, but because she wanted to experience the world for herself. Alright, I'll go. Bing Tang nodded. Go and reply to him. Since it's the 80th birthday, the clansman can attend. If he wants to use this opportunity to show off his strength and invite people from other clans, I won't show up. How could Rock Candy not know what Grandfather Tang was thinking? It was better for him to keep a low profile for the birthday banquet. The Ice Palace wanted the hidden Tang family to work for them, so he had to control it well. He couldn't let the hidden Tang family get too full of themselves and use the Ice Palace's name to do some bad things. I understand, Palace Master. Little Qing nodded. I'll go check on Lil Shimmy. Let's bring her along this time. She's new here, and she's not used to it. I'm afraid she'll get sick, Crystal Candy said. It was obvious that she cared a lot about Xiao Xiao. Yeah, all right. I'll go talk to the hidden Tang family right now. Qing nodded and went back. Crystal Candy, on the other hand, flew towards the peak of the mountain with the most energy. Xiao Xiao hadn't slacked off at all since entering the Ice Palace. Other than eating and sleeping, she'd been training here every day. She was one of the most hard-working disciples in the Ice Palace, but everyone understood the heavy responsibility on her shoulders. She was an inheritor, a very important role. She had to exist to open up Sky Class Island. Senior sister. Xiao Xiao stopped her training and raised her head to see Crystal Candy not far from her. She paused. Why are you here? With Xiao Xiao's current strength, naturally, she wouldn't be able to sense Crystal Candy's arrival. Xiao Xiao, are you used to the Ice Palace? Crystal Candy sat beside Xiao Xiao, not putting on any airs like a palace master should. It's all right. Xiao Xiao wasn't too happy that she couldn't see Lin Yi anymore, but thinking that this short separation was for them to be together in the future, she got over it. I'm going out in a few days. Do you want to come with me? Crystal Candy asked. Going out? To where? Can I go see Lin Yi, honey? Xiao Xiao asked excitedly. Crystal Candy couldn't help but smile bitterly. This Xiao Xiao was acting like she didn't care before, but now she was excited after hearing that she could go out. Crystal Candy didn't want her to go see Lin Yi. To be honest, Crystal Candy really didn't think much of Lin Yi's strength. He was known as the strongest under Earth class, but she wouldn't even look at him if he was the strongest under Sky class. Xiao Xiao would become an inheritor in the future, and she would have the chance to step into Sky Dao and reach that legendary level. At that time, Lin Yi's strength would be laughably weak in her eyes. Would she still be so attached to Lin Yi? But, according to Crystal Candy's observations, she would. The relationship between these two couldn't be measured by strength. Back then, Lin Yi was a mystic, but he joined the test for Xiao Xiao, who had no strength at all. He even offended people stronger than him. This proved this point. The two places are quite far away. I don't know if it's okay. If you have time, we can meet. Crystal Candy didn't reject her junior sister's request. She was strict with others in the Ice Palace, but she couldn't be strict with this weird junior sister. Whether you were strict or not, the way she talked to you didn't change at all. Even when Rock Candy was with her, she unconsciously became a little neurotic. Sure. Xiao Xiao was happy. I'm a golden class now. If Lin Yi honey sees this, he'll be so happy. Xiao Xiao's training speed wasn't slow at all. In less than a month, she was already a golden class. Only a special constitution and a special practitioner's arts could have this kind of effect in the heritage grounds. Crystal Candy was speechless. The next day, Crystal Candy, Xiao Xiao, and Qing set off on their journey. With them was Elder Tang, Tang Yuyu, and Qing of the Hidden House. At the same time, the Hidden Tang family had finally received confirmation from Grandfather Tang and found out the purpose of his visit. Before, Elder Tang hadn't confirmed Crystal Candy's background, so naturally, he wouldn't say anything. If Tang Yuyu really got the wrong person, then things would get out of hand. Not only would Hidden House Tang be treated as a joke, but the Ice Palace might even blame them. Chapter 1630. But now, Rock Candy's identity was basically set in stone. He would naturally explain it to his family. Hidden in the Tang family, Boss Tang looked at his legal wife, Yu Xiaoxin, with a dark expression on his face. He slapped her face and trembled in anger. You wastrel, you threw away Xiao Ming's child back then. Look at you now, she's the Ice Palace's palace master. When she comes back, you can wait for your death. Not to mention you, even your Hidden Yu family will be finished. Yu Xiaoxin covered her swollen face and didn't dare to say anything. Although she was arrogant, it was only because she had the backing of the Hidden Yu family. But now, in the eyes of the Ice Palace, the Hidden Yu family wasn't like an ant. It was like the difference between a tiger and a cat. So, Yu Xiaoxin didn't dare to say anything. She really regretted it. She should have drowned the child instead of throwing him away. She didn't expect that the child didn't die and actually became the palace master of the Ice Palace. It could be said that she didn't regret it even now. This woman was hopeless. You've caused my death. By then, you can beg for mercy on your knees. Don't drag me down with you. This was the first time that Boss Tang was so unyielding in front of his legal wife. Now, he was going to be in big trouble. If Rock Candy came back, Old Master Tang would be fine, and Xiao Ming would be fine too. The ones who would be in trouble would be him and Yu Xiaoxin. Yu Xiaoxin lowered her head and didn't speak. She was also very afraid, but it was useless to be afraid. At this time, she could only think of a way to escape. I'll move into Xiao Ming's room today and give this place to her, okay? I hope it won't affect our Hidden Yu family. Yu Xiaoxin said carefully. Humph. Then get lost. Boss Tang roared angrily. Of course, in the entire Hidden Tang family, other than Boss Tang's branch, the remaining brothers were very happy. They didn't participate in the incident back then. So, if Boss Tang fell this time, they would have a chance to take over. However, unexpectedly, after Rock Candy arrived at the Hidden Tang family, she didn't start a massacre. As for Yu Xiaoxin, who had already moved into Xiaoming's cold courtyard, Rock Candy didn't bother about her either, as if she had ignored this person. This made Boss Tang heave a sigh of relief. Since Rock Candy could spare Yu Xiaoxin, then she could certainly spare Boss Tang. Tang, how is it? Are you used to this room? That night, eldest brother Tang, accompanied by grandfather Tang, went to Rock Candy's room to ask about her well-being. Rock Candy frowned slightly. The DNA test hasn't been done yet. I don't want to see you. This. Tang Big Bro was a bit embarrassed. Aren't we going to do the appraisal tomorrow, old man? Why can't you understand? I told you to scram, didn't you hear me? After finding out about Bingtang's background, Xiao Xiao hated Boss Tang to the core. She was a person who dared to love and hate, and she wanted nothing more than to kick a heartless man like him to death. Boss Tang didn't know who Xiao Xiao was, but he heard that Qing was Bingtang's aunt, an elder of Ice Palace who raised Bingtang. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, was only a golden class and didn't know how to hide. She was just a normal maid. Boss Tang, naturally, didn't dare say anything when Bingtang and Qing scolded him, but being scolded by a maid like this. Boss Tang was losing face. He was the head of the Hidden Tang House, an Earth-class late-phase peak master. Being told to scram by a golden-class early-phase girl made his face turn ugly. I say, little girl, I'm the father of your palace master. Don't you think it's a bit rude for you to say something like that? She's my junior sister, the next Ice Palace master. Bingtang said faintly. Is there a problem with talking to you like that? Wah. Boss Tang was stunned. He almost choked to death after hearing what Bingtang said. Junior sister. The next Ice Palace master. Why was she only golden class? What was going on? Of course, if what Bingtang said was true, then even if Xiao Xiao, the next Ice Palace master, beat him up as a golden class, he wouldn't dare fight back. As if noticing Boss Tang's doubt, Qing explained. Xiao Xiao entered the Ice Palace less than a month ago, and was just a normal person before. But the palace master has already decided on her as the next palace master. She'll become a sky class very soon. Cough. Boss Tang was even more shocked. Less than a month, from a normal person to a golden class. What kind of speed was that? So fast. She really was the next palace master. Boss Tang said awkwardly. I'm sorry, young palace master, I didn't know, Xiao Xiao humphed and ignored him. Go ahead, Head Tang. Qing said faintly as she gestured for the guest to leave. The results of the DNA test were out of everyone's expectations. What was supposed to be a sure thing turned into a dramatic change. Bingtang's DNA was similar to Boss Tang's, but it wasn't close enough to be inherited from a father and daughter. It was very similar to Elder Tang and Bingtang. In other words, Bingtang was a member of House Tang, but not Boss Tang's daughter. After hearing this news, Boss Tang's face turned green. He really wanted to curse that bitch Xiao Ming. She actually hooked up with another man in House Tang. He felt guilty all this time. If he knew that Bingtang was a bastard, he wouldn't have needed to do anything to her and would have killed her. But now, even if he hated her, he couldn't express it. It didn't matter whether he was Bingtang's father or not. To Bingtang, he was just a passerby. If he dared to do anything to Xiao Ming, Bingtang would probably kill him with one slap. So, no matter how much he hated her, he didn't dare to say anything. After Elder Tang got the results of the test, he seemed to have aged a few years. He shouted, "Misfortune, misfortune. How could something like this happen?" Normally, when such a scandal happened in a family, the first thing they should do was to find the child's mother, Xiao Ming, and ask her who the father was. However, no one in the Hidden Tang family dared to do so. This was because Bing Tang was standing behind Xiao Ming. As long as Bing Tang didn't agree, no one could force Xiao Ming to do anything. Rock Candy looked at the appraisal report expressionlessly. Actually, to Bing Tang, it was enough that her mother was confirmed. As for who her father was, it didn't matter. Chapter 1631. In the entire Tang family, other than Tang Yuyu, Bing Tang didn't like anyone else. Although this was a family scandal, abandoning Bing Tang back then was already a huge family scandal. This kind of small matter wasn't a big deal. And Bing Tang didn't even have the intention to ask Xiao Ming. Since that was the case, it was even better. Regarding the Hidden Tang family's attitude, it was even easier for Bing Tang to deal with it. She would treat the Hidden Tang family as a family member. Without the restrictions of familial ties, Bing Tang felt much better. Just like the relationship between the Common House Yu and the Hidden House Yu, Bing Tang's relationship with the Hidden Tang family was the same. Since she couldn't ask Bing Tang, she could only ask her own family members. In the Hidden Tang family's meeting room, Grandfather Tang sat in the main seat with a fierce expression. He looked at all the members of the Hidden Tang family and slammed the table heavily. "Speak. Who did this back then? If you speak now, I won't pursue the matter, nor can I." With Sect Master Bing Tang's status, this matter can only be treated as a family scandal. But if I find out who did it, don't blame me for being impolite. After many years of accumulated power, Grandfather Tang's words carried enormous weight in the Tang family. So, after Grandfather Tang finished speaking, the members of the Tang family were very careful, not even daring to breathe loudly. "Not speaking. None of you want to speak." Grandfather Tang waited for a long time. Seeing that no one spoke, he slammed the table and sneered. "Fine, since none of you want to speak, then I'll have everyone do a DNA test. I want to see who did it." Of course, after Grandfather Tang finished speaking, no one spoke. They all lowered their heads in silence, each with their own thoughts. 7*, fine, if that's the case, Yu, call the doctor over and have everyone do a DNA test. Grandfather Tang said angrily. "Yes. Grandfather." Tang Yu smiled bitterly. This was a situation he had never imagined. He never thought that his third aunt would give birth to Bing Tang with someone else. However, this kind of thing couldn't be talked about, so he could only follow his grandfather's instructions and find a doctor to do a DNA test on every member of the Tang family. After the doctor arrived, Elder Tang observed every single member of the Tang family. However, he realized that every single one of them were calm and collected. It was as if this matter had nothing to do with them. There was not the slightest hint of guilt on their faces. This made Grandfather Tang a little puzzled. What was going on? Could it be that Rock Candy was not their child? The results of the DNA test were quickly released and, just as Elder Tang had guessed, Rock Candy was related to them by blood. But, when it came to parentage, she was not. These people were not Rock Candy's father. Grandfather Tang really had no other choice but to pass the news to Xiao Ming. Although he didn't say it explicitly, he hoped that she would tell him the truth. However, Xiao Ming felt wronged. Back then, she only had a relationship with Big Brother Tang. After that, she had Tang Tang. She had never had any contact with other men, so it was impossible for her to have an improper relationship with another man. Although the Tang family did not say anything, the way they looked at Xiao Ming was a little strange. When Xiao Ming arrived at the meeting room, she felt her face burning up. She really didn't want to come, but she had no choice. This matter was related to her innocence, so Xiao Ming had to explain herself. But, how was she going to explain herself? How was Xiao Ming going to prove herself? Just as Xiao Ming was at a loss of what to do, a surprising person walked into the meeting room. Uncle Da, why are you here? Big Bro Tang looked at Uncle Dab as he walked into the meeting room. Although Uncle Dab was Grandfather Tang's trusted aide, he would never participate in a family meeting like this one. He was just a servant, so he knew his place very well. This old servant deserves to die 1,000 times. It's all my fault. After Uncle Da entered the meeting room, he knelt in front of Elder Tang and said, "Ah." Uncle Da's sudden action stunned Grandfather Tang. They were just talking about Xiao Ming's matter. Why was Uncle Da here to join in the fun? Could Rock Candy be Uncle Da's child? That was impossible. Uncle Da was just a servant and had no blood relations with the Tang family. Not to mention now, even if there were a few generations back, the chances of this happening were almost zero. What did he do wrong? So, Elder Tang furrowed his brows and said, "Old Da, what kind of show are you putting on? What did you do wrong? What did you do wrong? We are currently discussing serious matters. If you made a mistake, can we talk about it later? Old Master, please let this old servant finish." Uncle Da said, "What this old servant wants to talk about is the incident where third young master abused his daughter." "What? You know. Hurry up and tell me." Elder Tang hurriedly asked when he heard the reason for Uncle Da's visit. "Yes." Uncle Da said, "Back then, eldest young mistress ordered a servant to throw away Tang Tang. This old servant couldn't bear to do so. No matter what, she was still eldest young master's flesh and blood. If she was thrown into the snow, how could she possibly survive? So, this old servant thought of a way to protect this child." "What do you mean? Explain it clearly." Elder Tang furrowed his brows. He felt that something was wrong. "Yes. Back then, a member of the Tang family side branch had also given birth to a daughter. They brought their daughter to the hidden Tang family to register her in the family tree. This old servant took this opportunity to swap Tang Tang with their child. The child that was thrown away was the daughter of the Tang family side branch, not eldest young master's daughter, Tang Tang." Uncle Da continued, "As for the real Tang Tang, she was probably brought back by the Tang family side branch disciple and raised into an adult. Because newborn babies all look the same, they probably wouldn't have realized it was a mistake, so..." "What?" After Elder Tang heard this, he nearly fainted. This meant that Rock Candy was the daughter of the Tang family side branch disciple and not eldest young Master Tang's blood. In this way, it made sense why Bingtang's DNA matched most of the members of the Tang family. It was because they were related by blood. But this caused the Tang family to suffer. Originally, he was overjoyed to reunite with Rock Candy. That way, the hidden Tang family would have a backer. But, from the looks of it, it was all for naught. This really made Elder Tang sad. "Ah. This means that Rock Candy isn't my daughter, then, my daughter." Xiao Ming was shocked after hearing Uncle Da's words. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1632. Translator, Sparrow Translations Editor, Sparrow Translations. There was one more thing she didn't say. The DNA test could only prove that the child was a member of the paternal family. As for whether or not it was the child's father's, no one knew. It could even be the child's uncles or grandfathers. But, saying this was asking for a scolding. As long as the DNA test proved that the child was a member of the family, everything else would be left to the family. But, she still reminded, for accuracy, it's best to let the child's father do it himself. Sure, sure. Do mine first. Do the DNA test, Elder Tang said as he nodded his head. This time, the results came out very quickly. It was now confirmed that Bingtang and Elder Tang's DNA were very similar. In other words, Bingtang was from the Hidden Tang family. Although there was still a possibility that she was a member of the maternal family, the paternal DNA test had also come out. There was no doubt that Bingtang was a member of the Hidden Tang family. Tang Tang. It really is you. Xiaoming looked at the results and hugged Bingtang excitedly. But Bingtang's heart wasn't as excited as she had imagined. Instead, it was filled with bitterness. She didn't know how she was going to face this. She had acknowledged Xiaoming as her mother, but what about the Hidden Tang family? Palace Mistress, may I take the liberty to call you my granddaughter? Grandfather Tang grinned from ear to ear. Sure enough, the Ice Palace Mistress was the granddaughter of the Hidden Tang family. This was a piece of good news. I need some peace and quiet. Bingtang waved her hand and walked out of the hospital. Seeing Bingtang leave, little Qing sighed and said to Elder Tang and Xiaoming, you guys go back to the inn and rest. Once the palace master has thought things through, she will come and find you. Because Bingtang's attitude wasn't clear, little Qing didn't know how she was going to face the Tang family. So, her tone towards Elder Tang and Xiaoming was very polite. Good, good. Elder Tang thought to himself. There was an 80% chance this time, right? Seeing little Qing's attitude, he knew that she treated the Hidden Tang family differently. So, Elder Tang didn't rush her. He returned to the inn with Tang Yuyu and Xiaoming and waited patiently for news from the Ice Palace. Rock Candy's heart was in a mess. She hadn't seen her parents for almost 20 years. Now they suddenly appeared in front of her. Should she recognize them or not? Judging from how Bingtang treated the Hidden Tang family, it was already good enough that she didn't cause trouble for them. However, when she thought of Xiaoming, Bingtang's heart softened. Her mother was innocent, everything was done by her black-hearted father. Hence, it was fine if they wanted to acknowledge each other. Bingtang only wanted to acknowledge her mother. As for her relationship with the Hidden Tang family, she could let it go on account of her mother. But as for the young mistress, she had to scram back to where she came from. Xiaoming would be the young mistress from now on. This was the only right that Bingtang could fight for her mother. As the saying goes, even an upright official can't settle a family dispute. Although Bingtang was angry, she couldn't do anything to the Hidden Tang family with her mother in the middle, so she could only fight for some benefits for her mother. Of course, he believed that if he really did acknowledge her as his relative, that young mistress would have no choice but to scram even if he did not say anything. In terms of backing, no matter how powerful the hidden family behind her was, it was nothing in front of the Ice Palace. The hidden level and the ancient level were not on the same level at all. Bingtang sighed faintly. Aunt Qing, what should I do? Do I acknowledge her or not? Now, although she still needed to do a DNA test with Boss Tang, all the signs indicated that Bingtang was from the Hidden Tang family. This was an indisputable fact. Palace Master, actually, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. As long as Palace Master has the right attitude, it will be fine. Little Qing sighed and said, it's true that the Hidden Tang family gave birth to you, but the Ice Palace raised you, so you don't have to be conflicted. Acknowledging your relative is just acknowledging an identity, but this identity doesn't mean anything. From what I know, many ancient sects and ancient families have secretly supported some hidden families and small sects as their eyes and ears and spokespersons. Hence, developing the Hidden Tang family into the eyes and ears of the Ice Palace isn't a bad idea. Also, I can see that your mother is a kind person. When the time comes, we can just bring her to the Ice Palace to live, and she won't have to suffer in the hidden Tang family. That's true. Bing-Tang was suddenly enlightened after hearing little Qing's words. That's right, so what if she acknowledged her relative? It only represented an identity, and she didn't need to promise anything to the hidden Tang family. On the contrary, the hidden Tang family could become the eyes and ears of the Ice Palace. If she acknowledged her relative, the hidden Tang family wouldn't dare order her to do anything for them. This was just a way for them to show off to the outside world, so Bing-Tang didn't mind. Isn't that it? Hee, it's always a good thing to have an extra pair of eyes and ears. Little Qing said. Alright, then we'll acknowledge her. Get that? Boss Tang here for a DNA test. Bing-Tang still couldn't bring herself to call him father. After all, what Boss Tang did back then was worse than an animal. Alright, I'll talk to them. Little Qing nodded. This kind of small matter didn't require Bing-Tang to make another trip, Little Qing could do it for her. Elder Tang didn't expect to receive news so quickly. Seeing Little Qing, he didn't dare to be negligent and said respectfully, "This Tang greets Elder Qing. May I ask Elder Qing about the Palace Master?" The Palace Master said to get young Master Tang here for a DNA test. If it's confirmed, then this marriage can be acknowledged, Little Qing said calmly. However, Elder Tang, don't think too much about it. Although the Ice Palace Master is part of the Hidden Tang family, she isn't someone that the Hidden Tang family can control. This Tang naturally understands. Elder Tang wasn't an idiot. How could the Ice Palace listen to the words of the Hidden Tang family? His purpose here was only to acknowledge the Ice Palace. With this relationship, as long as the Ice Palace took care of the Hidden Tang family, the Hidden Tang family's meteoric rise was just around the corner. He wouldn't ask the Ice Palace to do anything, because that wasn't realistic. It was the behavior of a fool. It's good that you understand. It wasn't easy for Rock Candy to say these words, but it wasn't a problem for Little Qing to say it. Also, the Palace Lord said that she really doesn't like that young master. As for Xiao Ming's identity, you know what to do, right? These words were said in front of Tang Yuyu, but Tang Yuyu didn't have any inappropriate expression. He was an honest man and looked down on his biological mother's actions. He felt that it was not the behavior of a good wife, but that it was harming his father. Chapter 1629. Going out together. On the other hand, he admired Third Concubine's character very much. Thus, he had played with Third Concubine since he was young. His relationship with Third Concubine was even deeper than that of his biological mother. So, without waiting for Elder Tang to express his opinion, Tang Yuyu spoke first. No matter what, no matter how bad that woman is, she is still my mother. Elder Qing, do you think it's possible for her to switch places with Third Aunt? I've been close to Third Enyang since I was young, and I've always treated her like a mother. Third Enyang can prove this. Although Tang Yuyu's words were clear, he was actually telling Little Qing that his mother and Xiao Ming's positions had been swapped. Since his residence had changed, his identity had naturally changed as well. It was just that he wasn't ruthless. I can prove this. I've brought Yuyu along to play since he was young. He has always been very fond and respectful of me. Xiao Ming hurriedly added. Sure. Little Qing nodded her head. Then, it's decided. When Boss Tang arrives, you can ask Xiao Li, who is also Manager Li, to contact me. This. Elder Qing, it will be this Tang's 80th birthday soon. Everyone in the Tang family will be attending, including my cousin's branch family. So, do you think the Palace Lord can also attend as a member of the Tang family? Elder Tang asked carefully. If that's the case, it won't be too late to do a DNA test when we get there. I can't make this decision. I'll ask the Palace Master first before giving you an answer. Little Qing didn't express her opinion, she just took note of it. Okay, okay. Elder Tang nodded his head happily. Elder Qing, thank you. Little Qing waved her hand. Without saying a word, she turned around and left Elder Tang's room. Then, she floated away. After hearing Little Qing's words, Bing Tang hesitated for a moment before agreeing to Elder Tang's request. Firstly, she wanted to see the place where she was born. Secondly, she wanted to use this opportunity to go out and experience the world. It could be said that Bing Tang had spent the past 20 years in the Ice Palace and had never left it. News from the outside world came from the outer sect. She had never seen the outside world. So, Elder Tang's suggestion moved her. It wasn't because she wanted to give Elder Tang face, but because she wanted to go out and experience the world. Okay, I'll go. Bing Tang nodded her head. Go and reply to him. Since it's his 80th birthday, his family members can attend. If he wants to use this opportunity to show off his power and invite people from other families, I won't make an appearance. How smart was Bing Tang? How could she not know what Elder Tang was thinking? It was better for her to keep a low profile when it came to attending the birthday banquet. If the Ice Palace wanted the Hidden Tang family to work for them, they needed to control the situation well. They couldn't let the Hidden Tang family get overconfident and use the Ice Palace's name to do bad things. I understand, Palace Master. Qing nodded. I'll go see my little junior sister. Bring her along this time. She's new here, and she's not used to it. I'm afraid she'll get sick. Bing Tang said. It was obvious that she cared a lot about Xiao Xiao. Okay, all right. I'll go talk to the Hidden Tang family right now. Qing nodded and went back. Bing Tang, on the other hand, flew towards the peak of the mountain with the most energy. Xiao Xiao hadn't slacked off ever since she entered the Ice Palace. Other than eating and sleeping, she was here every day. She was one of the most hard-working people in the Ice Palace, but everyone understood the heavy responsibility on her shoulders. She was an inheritor, a very important person. She had to exist to open Sky-class Island. Senior sister. Xiao Xiao stopped and raised her head to see Crystal Candy standing not far from her. She paused. Why are you here? With Xiao Xiao's current strength, naturally, she couldn't sense Bing Tang's arrival. Xiao Xiao, are you used to the Ice Palace? Bing Tang sat beside Xiao Xiao, not putting on any airs like a palace master should. It's all right. Xiao Xiao wasn't too happy that she couldn't see Lin Yi anymore, but thinking that this short separation was for the sake of a long life together, she got over it. I'm going out in a few days. Do you want to come with me? Bing Tang asked. Going out? To where? Can I go see Lin Yi, honey? Xiao Xiao asked excitedly. Bing Tang couldn't help but smile bitterly. This Xiao Xiao was acting like she didn't care before, but now she was excited after hearing that she could go out. But Bing Tang didn't want her to go see Lin Yi. To be honest, Bing Tang really didn't think much of Lin Yi's strength. He was known as the strongest under Earth class, but she wouldn't even look at him if he was the strongest under Sky class, let alone Earth class. Xiao Xiao would become an inheritor in the future, and she would have the chance to step into Sky Dao and reach that legendary level. At that time, Lin Yi's strength would be laughably weak in her eyes. Would she still be so attached to Lin Yi? But, according to Bing Tang's observations, it seemed like it was possible. The relationship between these two couldn't be measured by strength. Lin Yi was a mystic, but he joined the trial for Xiao Xiao, who had no strength at all, and he even offended people stronger than him. This proved this point. The two places are quite far from each other. I don't know if it's okay. If we have time, we can meet. Bing Tang didn't reject her junior sister's request. She was strict with others in the Ice Palace, but she couldn't be strict with this weird junior sister. Whether you were strict or not, the way she talked to you didn't change at all. Even when Rock Candy was with her, she unconsciously became a little neurotic. Sure. Xiao Xiao was very happy. I'm a golden class now. Lin Yi Honey will be very happy when he sees this. Xiao Xiao's speed wasn't slow at all. In less than a month, she had become a golden class. This kind of speed could only be achieved in the heritage grounds with a special constitution and a special practitioner's arts. Bing Tang was speechless. The next day, Bing Tang, Xiao Xiao, and Qing left on their journey. With them was Elder Tang, Tang Yuyu, and Qing from the Hidden House. At the same time, the Hidden Tang family had finally received confirmation from Grandfather Tang and found out the purpose of his visit. Before, Elder Tang hadn't confirmed Bing Tang's identity, so naturally, he wouldn't say anything. If Tang Yuyu really did get the wrong person, then things would get out of hand. Not only would Hidden House Tang be a joke, but the Ice Palace might even blame them. Chapter 1630, very confused, but now, Bing Tang's identity was basically set in stone. Naturally, he would tell his family. Hidden in the Tang family, eldest Tang looked at his legal wife, Yu Xiaoxin, with a dark expression. He slapped her face and trembled in anger. You wastrel, you threw away Xiao Ming's child back then. Look at you now, she's the Ice Palace's palace master. When she comes back, you'll be waiting for death. It's not just you, even your hidden house Yuxiixin will be finished. Yuxiixin covered her swollen face, not daring to say anything. She was arrogant, but that was because she had the backing of Hidden House Yuxiixin. But now, Hidden House Yuxiixin wasn't like an ant in the eyes of the Ice Palace. It was the difference between a tiger and a cat. So, Yuxiixin didn't dare to say anything. She really regretted it a little. She should have drowned the child and not thrown him away. She didn't expect that the child didn't die, and even became the sect master of the Ice Palace. One could say that she didn't regret it even now. This woman was hopeless. You're the death of me. When the time comes, you can beg for mercy on your knees. Don't drag me down with you. Big Tang's first time acting tough in front of his wife. Now, he was in trouble. Even if Bing Tang came back, Elder Tang would be fine, and Xiao Ming would be fine. The ones who would be in trouble would be him and Yuxiixin. Yuxiixin lowered her head and didn't say anything. She was also very afraid, but being afraid was useless. At this time, she could only think of a way to escape. I'll move into Xiao Ming's room today and give this place to her, okay? I hope it won't affect our hidden house Yuxiixin. Yuxiixin said carefully. Humph. Then get lost. Big Tang's brother roared. Of course, in the entire hidden house Yuxiixin, other than Big Tang's branch, the remaining brothers were very happy. They didn't participate in what happened back then, so if Big Tang fell this time, they would have a chance to take over. However, unexpectedly, after Big Tang came to live in the hidden house Yuxiixin, she didn't start a massacre. As for Yuxiixin, who had already moved into Xiao Ming's cold courtyard, Big Tang didn't bother with her either. It was as if she had ignored her. This made Big Tang heave a sigh of relief. Since Big Tang could forgive Yuxiixin, she could definitely forgive Big Tang too. Tang, how is it? Are you used to this room? That night, Big Tang, accompanied by Elder Tang, came to Big Tang's room, wanting to get close to her. Big Tang frowned slightly. We haven't done the DNA test yet, I don't want to see you. Big Tang was a little awkward. We're going to do the test tomorrow, why don't you understand, you old man? I told you to get lost, didn't you hear me? After finding out about Bing Tang's background, Xiao Xiao hated Boss Tang to the core. She was a person who dared to love and hate, and she wanted nothing more than to kick a heartless man like him to death. Big Tang didn't know Xiao Zhao's identity, but he heard that Qing was Bing Tang's aunt, an elder of the Ice Palace who raised Bing Tang. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, was only golden class, and she didn't know how to hide. One look and he knew that she was just a normal maid. Big Tang didn't dare say anything when Bing Tang and Qing scolded him, but being scolded by a maid like this. Big Tang's face was a little embarrassed. He was the head of the Hidden Tang House, an Earth-class late-phase peak master. Being told to scram by a golden-class early-phase girl made his face turn ugly. "I say, little girl, I'm the father of your palace master. Don't you think it's a bit rude for you to say something like that?" "She's my junior sister, the next Ice Palace master," Bing Tang said faintly. "Is there a problem with talking to you like that?" "Ha!" Tang Big Bro was stunned. After listening to Rock Candy's words, he nearly choked to death. Junior sister. The next Ice Palace master. Why was she only golden class? What was going on? Of course, if what Bing Tang said was true, then even if Xiao Xiao, the next sect master of Ice Palace, beat him up as a golden class, Boss Tang wouldn't dare fight back. As if noticing Big Tang's doubt, Qing explained, "Xiao Xiao entered the Ice Palace less than a month ago, and she was just a normal person before. But the palace master has already decided that she will be the next palace master. She'll become a sky class soon." Cough. Big Tang was even more shocked. From a normal person to a golden class in less than a month. What kind of speed was that? So fast. She really was the next palace master. Big Tang said awkwardly, "I'm sorry, young master, I didn't know, humph." Xiao Xiao humphed and ignored him. "Go ahead, Head Tang," Qing said faintly, gesturing for them to leave. The results of the DNA test were out of everyone's expectations. What was supposed to be a sure thing turned out to be a dramatic change. Bing Tang's DNA was similar to Big Tang's, but it wasn't at the father-daughter level. It was very similar to Elder Tang's and Bing Tang's results. In other words, Bing Tang was a member of House Tang, but not Big Tang's daughter. After hearing this news, Big Tang's face turned green. He really wanted to scold Xiao Ming. She actually hooked up with another man in House Tang, and he felt guilty all this time. If he knew that Bing Tang was a bastard, he wouldn't have needed to do anything and would have killed her. But now, even if he hated her, he couldn't express it. It didn't matter whether he was Bing Tang's father or not. To Bing Tang, he was just a passerby. If he dared to do anything to Xiao Ming, Bing Tang would probably kill him with one slap. So, no matter how much he hated her, he didn't dare to say anything. After Elder Tang received the results of the test, he seemed to have aged a few years. He shouted, "Misfortune, misfortune. How could something like this happen?" Normally, when such a scandal happened in a family, the first thing they should do was to find the child's mother, Xiao Ming, and ask her who the father was. But, no one in the Hidden Tang family dared to do so, because Bing Tang was standing behind Xiao Ming. As long as Bing Tang didn't agree, no one could force Xiao Ming to do anything. Bing Tang looked at the test report expressionlessly. Actually, to Bing Tang, it was enough that the mother was confirmed. As for who the father was, it didn't matter. Chapter 1632, Helpless Result in the Tang Family. Other than Tang Yuyu, Bing Tang didn't like anyone else. Although this seemed like a family scandal, abandoning Bing Tang back then was already a huge family scandal. This kind of small matter wasn't much. And Bing Tang didn't even have the intention to ask Xiao Ming. Since that was the case, it was even better. As for the Hidden Tang family's attitude, it was easier for Bing Tang to handle it. She treated the Hidden Tang family as a family member. Without the restriction of familial ties, Bing Tang felt much better. Just like the secular House Yu and the hidden House Yu, Bingtang's relationship with the hidden Tang family was the same. Since she couldn't ask Bingtang, she could only ask her own family members. In the hidden Tang family's conference room, Old Man Tang sat on the main seat with a fierce expression. He looked at all the members of the hidden Tang family and slammed the table heavily. Speak. Who did it back then? If you speak now, I won't pursue the matter, nor can I. With Ice Palace Master Bingtang's status, this matter can only be treated as a family scandal. But if I find out who did it, don't blame me for being impolite. After many years of accumulated power, Old Man Tang's words carried enormous weight in the Tang family. So, after Old Man Tang finished speaking, everyone in the Tang family was very careful. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Not speaking. None of you want to speak. Old Man Tang waited for a long time. Seeing that no one spoke, he slammed the table and sneered. All right, since no one wants to speak, then everyone can go and do a DNA test for me. I want to see who did it. Of course, after Old Man Tang finished speaking, no one spoke. They all lowered their heads in silence. They all had their own thoughts. Fine. Since that's the case, Yu, call the doctor over and do a DNA test for everyone. Old Man Tang said angrily. Yes, grandfather. Tang Yu smiled bitterly. He had never imagined a situation like this. He never imagined that his third auntie would have been Tang's child. But, he couldn't simply speak about this matter. All he could do was follow his grandfather's instructions and call the doctor over to do a DNA test for every member of the Tang family in the conference room. After the doctor arrived, Old Man Tang observed every member of the Tang family in the conference room. He realized that every member of the Tang family was calm and collected. It was as if this matter had nothing to do with them. They didn't show any signs of guilt. This made Old Man Tang a little confused. What was going on? Could it be that Bingtang wasn't their child? The results of the DNA test were quickly released. Just as Old Man Tang had guessed, Bingtang was related to them by blood. But, she wasn't related by birth. None of these people were Bingtang's father. Old Man Tang had no other choice but to pass this information to Xiaoming. Although he didn't say it explicitly, he hoped that she would tell him what happened in the past. But, Xiaoming felt wronged. Back then, she had only had a relationship with eldest brother Tang. After that, she had Bingtang. She had never had any contact with other men, so it was impossible for her to have an illicit relationship with another man. Although the Tang family didn't say anything, the way they looked at Xiaoming was a little strange. When Xiaoming arrived at the conference room, she felt her face burning. She really didn't want to come, but she had no choice. This matter was related to her innocence, so Xiaoming had to explain herself. But, how was she going to explain herself? How was Xiaoming going to prove herself? Just as Xiaoming was at a loss of what to do, someone walked into the conference room that surprised everyone. Uncle Da, why are you here? Big Bro Tang looked at Uncle Dab as he walked into the meeting room. Although Uncle Dab was Grandfather Tang's trusted aide, he would never participate in a family meeting like this one. He was just a servant, so he knew his place very well. This old servant deserves to die 1,000 times. It's all my fault. Uncle Da knelt in front of Elder Tang as he walked into the conference room. Ah! Uncle Da's sudden action stunned Grandfather Tang. They were just talking about Xiaoming's matter. Why was Uncle Da here to join in the fun? Could it be that Bingtang was Uncle Da's child? That was impossible. Uncle Da was just a servant and had no blood relations with the Tang family. Not to mention now, even if there were a few generations of them, the chances of this happening were almost zero. What did he do wrong? So, Elder Tang furrowed his brows and said, Old Da, what are you trying to do? What did you do wrong? What did you do wrong? We are currently discussing serious matters. If you made a mistake, can we talk about it later? Old master, please let this old servant finish. Uncle De said, this old servant wants to talk about how third young master molested his daughter back then. What? You know. Hurry up and tell me. Elder Tang asked as soon as he heard the reason for Uncle Da's visit. Yes. Uncle De said, back then, eldest young mistress ordered a servant to throw away Tang Tang. This old servant couldn't bear to do so. No matter what, she was still eldest young master's flesh and blood. If she was thrown into the snow, how could she possibly survive? So, this old servant thought of a way to protect the child. What do you mean? Explain it clearly. Elder Tang furrowed his brows. He felt that something was wrong. Yes. Back then, a member of the Tang family side branch had also given birth to a daughter. They brought their daughter to the Tang family to register her in the family tree. This old servant took this opportunity to swap Tang Tang with their child. The child that was thrown away was the daughter of the Tang family side branch, not eldest young master's daughter, Tang Tang. Uncle De continued, as for the real Tang Tang, she must have been brought back to be raised by the Tang family side branch, because newborn babies all look the same, they shouldn't have realized it was a mistake, so... What? After Elder Tang heard this, he nearly fainted. This meant that Rock Candy was the daughter of the Tang family side branch and not eldest young Master Tang's bloodline. In this way, it made sense why Bingtang's DNA matched most of the members of the Tang family. It was because they were related by blood. But this caused the Tang family to suffer. Originally, he was overjoyed to bring Rock Candy back. This way, the Tang family would have a backer. But, from the looks of it, it was all for naught. This really made Elder Tang sad. Ah! This means that Rock Candy isn't my daughter, then, my daughter. After hearing Uncle Da's words, Xiao Ming was shocked. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1633. Old events. Rock Candy should be the daughter of the Tang family side branch disciple, and the young master's daughter should be in that side branch disciple's house. Uncle De said. This. What should we do now? Elder Tang suddenly felt a headache coming on. Did the cooked duck just fly away? The hidden Tang family's backing was gone. Wasn't this a little too unlucky? Why did this turn into something out of a TV drama? Elder Tang's expression softened quite a bit. At least he wasn't cuckolded. However, the next problem was even more troublesome. Rock Candy's parents weren't in the hidden Tang family. Uncle De, are you serious? Grandfather Tang asked sternly as he looked at Uncle De Bo. This was no laughing matter. If they were not careful, the hidden Tang family would be consigned to eternal damnation. Patriarch, how could this old servant dare to lie to you about such an important matter? Uncle De smiled bitterly. It's all this old servant's fault. Patriarch, please punish this old servant. There's no need to punish her. If you hadn't changed her, Ice Palace Master wouldn't have been a part of the hidden Tang family, and this opportunity wouldn't have fallen into our hands. Elder Tang was an understanding person. This matter didn't have much to do with Uncle De. Even if Uncle De didn't do anything, at most, his child would have died, and Rock Candy would still be the daughter of the side branch of the Tang family. Yes, Uncle De, this isn't your fault. The most important thing right now is to think of a solution. What should we do? We've already invited Ice Palace Master here. We can't just tell her that you're not a part of the hidden Tang family, right? Elder Tang frowned. Who said I'm not? Even if she's a side branch disciple, she's still a part of the hidden Tang family. Elder Tang finally found a connection. How could he give it up so easily? Grandfather Tang's words enlightened the others present. That's right, Rock Candy's body contained the hidden Tang family bloodline. This was an indisputable fact. Father, you're right. I think we should conceal this matter and let Bing Tang think that she is Xiao Ming's daughter. As for who her father is, we can just make up a story and let Xiao Ming cooperate. Eldest Tang pondered for a moment and said, Second brother, let's say that she is your and Xiao Ming's child, right? Second brother's expression changed slightly. However, as this matter concerned the Tang family, it was not appropriate for him to express his opinion. Instead, he looked towards Elder Tang. That's right, we must leak the news. Otherwise, without Xiao Ming, why would Bing Tang recognize us as the hidden Tang family? Elder Tang said, so, we must never let Bing Tang know about this. Otherwise, wouldn't our efforts to hide the Tang family be in vain? Grandpa, this is a big deal. I think that if we talk to the sect master properly, she will understand. How can we lie to her? Oh. However, Tang Yuyu put forward a different opinion. You also said that Palace Mistress Bing Tang is also the bloodline of our hidden Tang family. She will more or less help us. If we lie to her and she finds out the truth, won't she die of anger? Yuyu, what do you know? Eldest brother Tang was a little annoyed as he looked at his son. How could his son be so loyal? It was not like his personality at all. Even though he was intelligent and capable, he was too kind. How could he inherit the position of the family head like this? Tang Yuyu's face turned red from eldest brother Tang's scolding. However, he knew that his words carried little weight. His words had no effect, so he could only shut his mouth resentfully. As for Xiao Ming, she was in a daze. If Bing Tang wasn't her daughter, then where was her daughter? Furthermore, why was Bing Tang related to her by blood? This series of questions caused Xiao Ming's mood to drop. In this family meeting, she had no say in it. Listening to everyone speak, they were all concerned about the benefits of the hidden Tang family. As for the whereabouts of her child, none of them had even asked. All right, it's decided. Everyone in the hidden Tang family, listen up. Do not reveal a single word to anyone. Elder Tang said sternly. From now on, Bing Tang will be second brother and Xiao Ming's daughter. Clang! A loud sound rang out. Just as Elder Tang finished speaking, the door to the conference room was kicked open, turning into a pile of sawdust that fell to the ground. Rock Candy was currently standing at the entrance of the conference room with a cold expression. She looked at Elder Tang coldly. Who can you not reveal this to? This. Seeing Bing Tang's cold gaze, Elder Tang broke out in a cold sweat. Even though he was a heaven-rank early-stage expert, he didn't dare to act rashly in front of a heaven-rank late-stage expert like Bing Tang. He didn't expect that his words would be heard by Bing Tang. At this moment, he remembered that Bing Tang was an expert at the peak of heaven-rank late-stage. With her divine sense, it was too easy for her to eavesdrop on the contents of the Tang family's meeting. And with Elder Tang's strength, he wouldn't be able to sense that someone was eavesdropping. Previously, when Elder Tang held the family meeting, he didn't consider this factor. That was why he neglected Bing Tang's existence. On account of Auntie Xiao Ming, I won't kill you. Bing Tang looked at Elder Tang coldly. As for the hidden Tang family, I know what you guys are planning. You just want to borrow the power of the Ice Palace, right? Very well, I'll satisfy you. Auntie Qing, tell them. Even though Bing Tang looked cold, she wasn't really angry. Especially when she heard that she wasn't Boss Tang's daughter and that she wasn't abandoned by her parents. Instead, she was swapped without her parents knowing. As a result, the knot in Bing Tang's heart of hatred towards her parents was instantly resolved. Speaking of which, Bingtang really had to thank Uncle Da for telling her the truth. Otherwise, even though Xiaoming was a kind person, she wouldn't be happy for the rest of her life if she had a father who was worse than a wolf and a dog. But now, everything was fine. All that was left of her with the hidden Tang family was that little bit of blood relation. Bingtang could calm down and let little Qing speak openly with the hidden Tang family. She wouldn't have to feel burdened to have the hidden Tang family become the eyes and ears of the Ice Palace. However, there was still one question that Bingtang hadn't answered. Why was her DNA so similar to Xiaoming's? She was born from a side branch of the Tang family. It was normal for her to have the Tang family's blood in her body. But she also had Xiaoming's blood. That was a little strange. Target =_blank. Chapter 1634. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Furthermore, Xiaoming indeed looked very similar to him. What was the reason for this? Could it be? She suddenly thought of a possibility. Xiaoming said before that she was chosen by Boss Tang when she accompanied her brother-in-law and sister to the Tang family to register. Then, could her real parents be Xiaoming's sister and brother-in-law? In that case, wouldn't Xiaoming be his aunt? The more she thought about it, the more likely it was. Otherwise, how could there be such a coincidence in this world? At this time, little Qing was already discussing with Elder Tang about letting them be the eyes and ears of the Ice Palace. Although the outcome was a little different from what Elder Tang had expected, it was still a good thing. The fact that Bingtang didn't start a massacre or leave was already a blessing in disguise. What else could the Tang family ask for? In fact, the hidden Tang family also knew that the Ice Palace just wanted to find a spy, and the hidden Tang family just happened to be there. If they really said that they were related to Bingtang, it would be too ridiculous. They were just collateral relatives. The hidden Tang family had many branches, and they didn't really like collateral relatives. Who are my biological parents? After little Qing and Elder Tang finished talking, Bingtang looked at Uncle Da Bo and asked coldly. Uncle Da Bo trembled in fear and didn't dare to hide anything. He said in a trembling voice, "They are from the Tang family. The man is called Tang Juqing, but I can't remember his wife's name. You have to check the family records." What? Tang Juqing. Before Bingtang could say anything, Xiaoming exclaimed. What's wrong? Everyone turned to look at Xiaoming, and Rock Candy also asked in confusion, Xiaoming. Auntie, you know, this. Tang Juqing, who is also my father. He is my brother-in-law. Of course I know him. So you are my niece. Xiaoming exclaimed. No wonder Bingtang looked so similar to her. She was actually Bingtang's aunt. And her own child was actually brought back by her sister and brother-in-law to be raised. Thinking of this, Xiaoming relaxed. Her child was with her sister and brother-in-law, so nothing should happen to him. Although her sister's family wasn't rich, they could still live. Thinking of her brother-in-law, Xiaoming felt extremely guilty. It was reasonable to say that marrying into the hidden Tang family should have brought a lot of benefits to her sister's family. However, not only did she not bring anything, her own life was also miserable. For so many years, he hadn't contacted his sister and brother-in-law. He didn't know if they were doing well. Just like the old saying goes, once you enter a wealthy family, you're as deep as the sea. It's hard for me to even contact the outside world. Hearing Xiaoming's words, Bingtang was also shocked. Although she had this feeling in her heart, she was still very surprised when the truth came out. However, she already had a good impression of Xiaoming. Thus, she gently called out, Auntie. Sigh. Although Xiaoming hadn't seen her own child yet, she was very happy when she thought that Bingtang was her niece. she replied happily. Old Tang wanted to join in the fun and use his identity as an uncle to get close to Bing Tang, but seeing that Bing Tang didn't even care about him, he couldn't help but feel awkward. In your hidden Tang family, only my auntie and this cousin Tang Yu are considered human, right? Bing Tang said faintly, the others are like pigs and dogs. Although Rock Candy's words made the Tang family furious, they didn't dare to say a single word. Elder Tang had a bitter expression on his face as he thought to himself, luckily, Tang Yu had put in a good word for Xiao Ming and Rock Candy. Otherwise, Rock Candy would probably have already left. Tang Yu was a little embarrassed as well. Hearing Bing Tang call him cousin, he was surprised and happy, but also a little awkward. He didn't know how to respond and could only stand there awkwardly rubbing his hands, careful. How can they be like pigs and dogs? Pork can be eaten, but they can't. Xiao Xiao interrupted. I think they're worse than pigs and dogs. Pfft. Qing almost burst out laughing at Xiao Xiao's words. Xiao Xiao's words were too funny in a situation like this. The hidden Tang family was furious as well, but they didn't dare do anything to Xiao Xiao, the future sect master of Ice Palace. She might be weak, but she was Bing Tang's junior. Auntie, come to my room and talk to me. Bing Tang held Xiao Ming's hand, not giving any face to the other Tang family members. Xiao Ming hesitated, but left the meeting room with Bing Tang. Old Tang and the others could only sigh as they sent them off. In the sect master's room, Bing Tang held Xiao Ming's hand intimately. She wasn't her birth mother, but she was her auntie, someone very close to her. She'd lacked family since she was young, so naturally, she was very happy at this moment. Sect Master Bing, what do you think of the hidden Tang family? Xiao Ming asked carefully. Auntie, just call me Bing Tang. What Sect Master Bing? That's what outsiders call me, you don't have to be so polite with me. Bing Tang said quickly. Ah. Then. All right then. Xiao Ming felt close to Bing Tang from the bottom of her heart. She'd been like this since the first time she saw her, so she nodded. I don't want to do anything to the hidden Tang family. Here, I only recognize you, auntie. At most, that Tang Yu can be considered my cousin. As for the others, they're just vassals of the Ice Palace. Bing Tang said faintly. Don't worry, auntie. I won't do anything to them. It's just a partnership. Then. Your birth parents, do you want to go and meet them? Xiao Ming actually missed her sister and brother-in-law quite a bit. It had been so many years, and she didn't know how they were now. More importantly, she missed her own child. Meet them. Bing Tang sighed. She'd been thinking about this for a long time. Should she meet them or not? If she did, then what about her auntie's daughter? Was she supposed to return to the hidden Tang family? To be honest, Bing Tang didn't want her auntie's daughter to be here. Here, she'd rather be the daughter of a normal family. Also, Bing Tang didn't want to destroy that family. If Bing Tang's parents found out that their child wasn't raised by them, but by someone else, then this peaceful family would be destroyed. That wouldn't be fair to that child. Target =_blank. Chapter 1635. Invitation letter. Hence, after a long silence, Bing Tang said, actually, I want to acknowledge them, but I also don't want to acknowledge them. That family is very happy now, but what will happen if Auntie and I interfere? Will my sister or sister return to your side? She's different from me. Xiao Ming was stunned, but she instantly understood what Bing Tang meant. That's right, her biological daughter was different from Bing Tang. Bing Tang didn't have parents since she was young, so she would be happier if she acknowledged her biological daughter. But her biological daughter had always treated her sister and brother-in-law as her biological parents. If she had to leave her sister and brother-in-law and come to her side, would she be willing? Even if she was willing, would her sister and brother-in-law be willing? Although they weren't biological, they had already been at fault for so many years. Humans weren't plants, so how could they be emotionless? Even if they weren't biological, they were already closer than biological. Thinking of this, Xiaoming fell silent. That's right, I was thinking too simply. I still wanted her to return to my side, but it seems like she's definitely not willing. Auntie, let's not think too much about this. Let's respect their opinion. I just want to see my biological parents and show my filial piety. With my identity, I won't be able to return to their side. Bing Tang said. As for you, acknowledging your daughter is fine, but don't force it. That way, no one will be happy. I understand. Xiaoming nodded. I just want to see her every once in a while, and know that she's doing well. That's enough. As for the rest, I won't force it. At the same time, in the Tang family's conference room, Elder Tang and the rest of the Tang family were discussing Tang Juqing. Since Tang Juqing is the Ice Palace Master's biological father, why don't we invite them to Father's 80th birthday celebration? Elder Tang said. This way, we can please the Ice Palace Master too. As for whether she acknowledges us, we won't interfere. We've already done what we can. That's a good idea. Elder Tang nodded in agreement. Second brother, do you have anything to say? Father, since the Ice Palace Lord isn't Xiaoming's daughter, then Tang Juqing's daughter must be Big Brother's flesh and blood. Should we let her return to the Tang family? Second brother Tang's words were, in fact, intended to disgust eldest brother Tang. You've been jumping up and down these past few days, preparing to recognize the daughter of the Palace Lord. Now, all your efforts have been in vain. But you haven't lost your daughter. Now that you've found her, aren't you going to recognize her? Grandfather Tang furrowed his brows. He understood the hidden meaning behind second brother Tang's words, but he did not say anything. Instead, he turned to look at eldest brother Tang. Acknowledge her. Why would he acknowledge her? Absolutely not. Eldest brother Tang immediately shook his head in denial. Now that he had lost his backing, and the Ice Palace Master obviously didn't want him anymore, he still had to rely on the support of his right Xiaoxin's family. How could he just casually recognize another daughter? What's more, she's just the daughter of an ordinary poor person. What's the use of recognizing her? Dad, she's also my sister. Why can't we acknowledge her? If you're afraid that my mother won't be happy, I'll talk to her. Tang Yuyu didn't think it was a bad thing to have another sister. No. Absolutely not. Eldest brother Tang was hit in the soft spot by his son. He flew into a rage. What's the point of acknowledging a poor girl? You shut up. Second brother Tang, on the other hand, was laughing at the joke. Acknowledging her is fine, but we don't have to bring her back. Grandfather Tang spoke. After all, she's the Ice Palace Master's sister. We have to put on an act. But if we forcefully bring her back to the Tang family, wouldn't we be destroying her family's current happiness? Father's words make sense. Eldest brother Tang was overjoyed when he heard that his father had helped him out of this predicament. Furthermore, he had given a very good idea. The older the ginger, the spicier. In an instant, it was not that the Tang family didn't want to acknowledge her, but that they didn't want to destroy her family. Thinking about it, Grandfather Tang had also realized that their relationship with the Ice Palace had become a subordinate relationship. This meant that they couldn't lose the support of the Hidden Yu family. So, at this time, they couldn't bring that girl back home. Just like that, the matter was settled. The hidden elder Tang's 80th birthday banquet had invited all the collateral descendants of the Tang family to attend. Naturally, Tang Juqing received an invitation as well. Tang Juqing was confused by the sudden invitation from the hidden Tang family, which he had never had much contact with. Mrs. Tang, on the other hand, was also very confused. Juqing, why did the Tang family suddenly invite us to the birthday banquet? Mrs. Tang looked at the invitation in her hand strangely. Could it be that they know that I found a rich son-in-law and want to rope us in? Otherwise, it's unbelievable that a family that hasn't been in contact with us for 800 years would come looking for us. That can't be, right? The Tang family has a lot of assets, why would they be interested in Lin Yi's assets? Tang Juqing frowned. He also found it strange. Besides, how did they find out? Who knows? But I say, Tang Juqing, you're really stupid. Lin Yi's assets. Do you know how many assets Lin Yi has and how capable he is? Mrs. Tang pouted. You know Fatty Lai, right? He's the CEO of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. He's Lin Yi's underling. Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company is Lin Yi's assets. Plus, Pingzhan Industries seems to have Lin Yi's shares too. You know those noble houses, right? The Wu family, they all ran to be Lin Yi's underlings. He's so popular, the Tang family definitely wants to rope him in. Ah. I see. How would Tang Juqing know so much? Mrs. Tang, on the other hand, was a very gossipy person. She was a smart person, and knew how to get information out of her daughter. She knew quite a bit about Lin Yi's situation even though she wasn't sure about it. That's right. Mrs. Tang said. So, this time, we must go, and we have to go in style. Back then, when your leg was broken, I wrote a letter to my sister, wanting to borrow some money, but there wasn't even a reply. She must have climbed up a high branch and ignored us. This time, I'll let them see how awesome my son-in-law is. We're returning home in glory and showing off. Tang Juqing was speechless. Xiao Ming has her own difficulties too. She's just a concubine in the Tang family. What right does she have to speak? If not, she wouldn't have not contacted us for so long. I think there's no way to contact us. Humph. Don't speak up for her. Who knows what's going on? I'm going to blind those snobs in the Tang family this time. Mrs. Tang sneered. Chapter 1636. Chapter 1635, Zhao Qikuan's phone call misses. Tang had always been in charge of Tang Yun's family matters, and so this was settled. Tang Yun heard about it from her mother when she got home, and she was a bit dumbfounded. She didn't think that she was part of a big family too. Hidden House Tang. Who were they? Were they as strong as the Hidden House Yu that Lin Yi talked about? After hearing her mother's analysis, Tang Yun didn't know if she should be happy or worried. She'd always felt inferior in front of Lin Yi, not being able to help Lin Yi with anything, and always causing trouble for Lin Yi. The Miss and Shu, on the other hand, both had powerful backgrounds, and even Xiao Xiao went to the Ice Palace to train. They'd definitely be able to help Lin Yi in the future. But she was the only one who came from a poor background, and she couldn't help Lin Yi with anything. Now that she knew that she was part of a hidden house, Tang Yun wondered if she could help Lin Yi at all. But on second thought, the hidden Tang family hadn't contacted his family for so many years, so how could he borrow their light? Plus, her mother's analysis made sense. Did they see Lin Yi's strength and wanted to rope him in? Would she cause trouble for Lin Yi if she went? Plus, Lin Yi's strength hadn't recovered yet, and Tang Yun knew that as well. She shouldn't just agree to something like this. Mom, I'll discuss this with Lin Yi first. Tang Yun didn't agree right away, but I think it's best if we don't go. You kid, It's so rare to have a chance to show off in front of House Tang, how can you not go? Mrs. Tang wasn't very happy. When she got married and Tang Yun was born, the Tangs didn't even look her in the eye when they registered her name in the family tree. Mrs. Tang couldn't take it to heart. So, now that she had the ability, she had to go show off. Mom, you don't understand. The hidden House Tang's power is huge. It's not as simple as you think. They are cultivators. Do you understand what a cultivator is? We are just ordinary people, we have nothing to do with them. Tang Yun frowned and explained, if we go, what if we cause trouble for Lin Yi? What cultivator? Mrs. Tang had no idea. I've heard a little about this, but I'm not too sure. I heard that it's just like practicing martial arts. The Tang family is indeed a big family in the martial arts world. Yun is right, we have to consider this matter carefully. Don't cause trouble for Lin Yi. Tang Juqing nodded in agreement. You too. Mrs. Tang was a little unhappy. Yuner, then go ask Lin Yi and see if he agrees. It would be best if he could accompany us. I'm not going, he's busy. Tang Yun knew Lin Yi's situation, how could she disturb him at this time? He's living in the house of two little vixens, but you're not worried. I say, why are you so dumb? You don't even know what's going on. If they take away Lin Yi, you can go cry. Mrs. Tang humphed, are you going or not? Yao Yao and Shu aren't vixens, they're my sisters. Mom, don't talk about them like that. Besides, Lin Yi won't be taken away. I know about my situation, Tang Yun frowned and shook her head. I say, are you going to fight or not? Mrs. Tang said, if you don't fight, then I will. I'll go. I'll go. Tang Yun stomped her feet and pushed the door open. This child, she has such a good background, but she's not going to pretend. I don't know what she's thinking, Mrs. Tang complained unhappily. One couldn't blame Mrs. Tang for being too snobbish. House Tang was snobbish before, so Mrs. Tang wanted to vent her anger. Tang Yun left the house and went to Lin Yi's villa. She didn't want to disturb Lin Yi and just stayed there. She knew that Lin Yi was recovering his strength, so she didn't want to disturb Lin Yi. Naturally, Meng Yao and Yushu agreed to it. This was Lin Yi's 186th experiment. The number of exploding energy balls was countless, but it still didn't meet Lin Yi's requirements. Now, Lin Yi was condensing 187 energy balls. Just a little bit more, and Lin Yi would be able to condense an energy ball that would allow him to break through to Earth class. But it was just a little bit, and Lin Yi had already tried more than 100 times. Luckily, Lin Yi was a patient man. If it were anyone else, they would have gone berserk already. Bang! The energy ball exploded at the last moment, and Lin Yi didn't have any temper at all. Lin Yi could only continue condensing. In the hidden house Zhao, the news of Lin Yi being poisoned by the 5-step dispersion, but Elder Zhao was still in isolation, and the only people in charge of the house were Elder Bai and Zhao Guanyin. This wasn't a secret, Zhao Qikuan naturally knew about it, he was worried for Lin Yi. He knew that Lin Yi could recover his strength quickly, but he knew that the 5-step dispersion, it was very strong. Even if Lin Yi could recover, without the antidote, his strength would quickly dissipate, and he would become a normal person. And so, Qikuan still gave Lin Yi a call, expressing his condolences to his boss. Lin Yi's phone was turned on. The moment he heard the ring, he exited his training mode and picked up. His main task now was to condense the energy ball, so answering a phone call was nothing. Hello. Lin Yi picked up, a little surprised. This was the number Zhao Qikuan had left for him. Why was he calling at a time like this? Zhao Qikuan. Boss, it's me. Qikuan lowered his voice. Boss, I heard that you were poisoned by the 5-step dispersion. Have you recovered? What, you want to test me? Lin Yi said faintly. Chikuin paused, and quickly said, how is that possible? Boss, I really do care about you. I know that this 5 steps cultivation dispersal powder is not easy to cure. Have you recovered? Tell me, the Zhao family is about to discuss how to deal with you. I need to know your condition so I can talk to you in the meeting. No. Lin Yi said faintly. He wasn't lying to Chikuin. On one hand, he felt that this guy was reliable, and wouldn't betray him. On the other hand, it was a test to see if he was loyal or not. Even if House Zhao came looking for trouble, Lin Yi wasn't afraid. Lin Yi's energy ball compression skills had improved a lot, and even if he was a golden class late phase peak, the energy ball he could compress was enough to cripple an earth class. As long as he didn't fight them head-on, it was very easy for him to injure someone who came looking for trouble. Chapter 1637. Back from the Rain Mountain. Alright, boss, I know what to do. Chikuin nodded. Boss, tell me when you're healed, I don't need to worry. Alright. Lin Yi hung up, wondering if Chikuin could really become his confidant. But this was the perfect time to see a person's loyalty. Lin Yi just had to wait patiently. In the hidden House Zhao's meeting room, this was the first time Zhao Qibing participated as a core member of House Zhao. In the meeting room were Zhao Guanyin, Elder Bai, and Zhao Chikuin. Old Master Zhao was in closed-door cultivation, so the Zhao family's family meeting naturally had more people. Even Boss Zhu came back to attend the meeting. Lin Yi is definitely crippled now, it'll be easy for us to deal with him. Elder Bai and the young master, please give the order to kill Lin Yi. Boss Zhu said. He was the one who poisoned him, so he was confident. Grandpa is in solitary practice right now, and before that, he told us to keep a low profile and not do anything big. Boss Zhu, did you not know that? Chikuin said faintly as he looked at Boss Zhu. He wasn't as strong as Boss Zhu, but he was a core member of House Zhao. He knew that Boss Zhu was Zhao Qibing's man, so he didn't hold back. Lin Yi's poisoned, and he's lost all his strength. This is a golden opportunity, and you've never lost to Lin Yi before. Naturally, you don't need to worry. Boss Zhu humphed coldly, not giving Chikuin any face. After all, he was an Earth class now, a core member of the hidden House Zhao. He was Zhao Qibing's man, so naturally, he wouldn't give face to a competitor like Chikuin. It's true that I've never lost to him before, but in this test, I saw someone lose to him with my own eyes. Chikuin said faintly. The ancient sect, the everyday sect, isn't they strong? Their disciple knows a wasp absorption arts that can suck the practitioner's chi dry, turning them into a normal person, and Lin Yi just happened to fall for it. What? Lin Yi fell for it. In other words, Lin Yi was no longer a cultivator. That's not right. When Lin Yi fought against the fake Lin Yi, he did have some strength, didn't he? Qibing asked, confused. That's the main point I want to say. Although Lin Yi lost his strength, he recovered very quickly. Not only did he recover, he even broke through. Chikuin said faintly, what happens in the test is actually a secret, but I still want to remind you all that if you think you're stronger than the ancient sect's disciple, you can go fight Lin Yi. Otherwise, don't go die. Is that true? Elder Bai frowned as he looked at Chikuin. He knew that Chikuin had always wanted to be the head of House Zhao, so he didn't really believe him. Why would I lie about something like this? Hidden House Yu and House Pai's people were there, Boss Bai, you can go ask them, aren't we on good terms with the Hidden House Yu? We'll know if it's true or not. Chikuin said faintly, I'm also a part of House Xiao, and although you all know what I'm thinking, I can't hurt House Xiao and make them lose their strength for no reason. Elder Bai nodded, his face dark. Indeed, Chikuin wouldn't say something like that. Even if it was a secret, with the relationship between House Xiao and House Yu, it wouldn't be hard to find out the truth. He sighed, according to what you're saying, Lin Yi's strength hasn't fallen, and he's recovered to his previous level. Mystic late phase. That's hard to say, but that's what I'm guessing, Chikuin said. That's right. Something similar has happened in the past. Qibing said suddenly, before, when Lin Yi fought Ma Zhu, I heard that Lin Yi was crippled as well, losing all his strength, even his meridians were broken. And so, all of Lin Yi's enemies went after him, but not only was Lin Yi not crippled, he even broke through and trampled on all of them. Chikuin's words make sense. Qibing didn't refute Chikuin's words because he had experienced it firsthand. He almost believed that Lin Yi had lost all his strength last time and went to cause trouble. But before he could even go, Lin Yi came after him. Qibing would rather believe it than not believe it. If that's the case, I'll call House Yu first. If something like this really happened, then we won't dare do anything rash. Elder Bai said with a dark face, Chikuin, why didn't you say something like this earlier? After the test, the sect master said that the test had to be kept a secret, that we couldn't talk about it. If it weren't for this, I think you guys would have died for no reason. Why would I say it? Chikuin said bitterly, so, Elder Bai, it's fine if you ask House Yu, but as for the others, don't ask. If word gets out and the sect master blames us, it'll be troublesome. I see. Elder Bai's face softened quite a bit after hearing the explanation. Young master, you're the son-in-law of House Yu, why don't you call them and ask about this? All right, I'll call them. Zhao Guanyin nodded. Since Xiao Qibing had returned to House Xiao, he was his son and a strong competitor. Naturally, Zhao Guanyin was very proactive. The hidden House Yu, on the other hand, was in a state of chaos and unrest. There was no other reason than that Yu Shan had returned with good news and bad news. The good news was that Yu Bing had passed the test, and was now an outer disciple of the Ice Palace. The bad news was that Yu Shan had become a cripple, and it was because Yu Bing had colluded with outsiders to cripple him. Feng Nidian was from an ancient sect, and had been crippled by Lin Yi. The Ice Palace gave face to House Feng, and sent a disciple to send him back. Yu Shan, on the other hand, didn't receive the same treatment. He was only sent to the nearest hospital by the Ice Palace disciple, who paid for his medical fees. When Yu Shan was able to get out of bed and walk, it was already a month later when he returned to House Yu. Yu Xiaoqin's face was dark as he sat on the seat, looking at his second brother and Yu Shan. The accusation against Yu Shan was only a one-sided story. Now that Yu Bing had entered the Ice Palace and become an outer disciple, who knew what the truth was? Outer disciples who had just entered the sect didn't have the right to contact the house on their own. The Ice Palace could only send a letter on their behalf. Chapter 1638. Only during the second year's new year would the outer sect disciples be allowed to visit their families. During this time, they weren't allowed to contact their families. Yu Bing only found out about this rule after entering the Ice Palace. He wanted to write a letter to the family about the Qi gathering pill, but that was no longer possible. He didn't know that Lin Yi and the Ice Palace had come to some sort of agreement, and that Lin Yi's woman had become the next sect master. So Yu Bing still treated himself as a normal member, not daring to ask for too much. As for Xiao Xiao becoming the sect master's disciple, that was something only the inner sect, the outer disciples only knew that the sect master was taking in a disciple on behalf of her master, but they'd never seen her before. Heart and Yu Shan, this hidden House Yu disciple who used to be on par with Yu Bing, was now crippled. Recovering his training wasn't something that could be done with just 1 or 2 meridian opening pills. All of his meridians were broken, and the meridian opening pill wouldn't be able to heal him. The effect of the pill was that as long as the meridians weren't too damaged, it could be healed. If more than half of the meridians were broken, then the pill would be useless. Only a higher level pill would be able to heal them, and if 90% of the meridians were broken, then perhaps only the legendary mystic first level pill would be able to heal him. But if 100% of the meridians were broken, then only Lin Yi would be able to heal them. Holy Hall, I've already told you Yi to report this to the old man. Let's wait for him to come out of his isolation before making a decision. Yu Shaoqin said coldly. This involved his son and nephew, and his nephew was a cripple. This wasn't something he could handle. No matter what he did, he'd be biased. He might as well let Elder Yu be the judge. Alright, I'd like to see how you, as the head of the house, are going to handle this. Second Elder Yu said angrily. Old Ancestor Yu had been in seclusion on the mountain for many years, but this time, something big happened to the family. He had no choice but to come down the mountain and come to the meeting room. Looking at the crippled Yushan, old Ancestor Yu's face was expressionless, as if Yushan wasn't his own grandson. There was no emotion on his face. Father. Grandpa. Patriarch. The people in the meeting room all stood up to greet the elder Yu, but he waved his hand and gestured for them to sit down. He looked at Yushan and asked directly, Yushan, you said that you been colluded with outsiders to hurt you? Yes, Grandpa. Yushan's eyes were filled with hatred. Holy Church, his heart was unbalanced. Why? Why? What right did Yu Bing have to become an outer disciple of the Ice Palace? But he couldn't. He had such a strong backing, but he still couldn't beat Yu Bing. He couldn't accept this. And so, he decided that before Yu Bing came back, he would weave a lie to make House Yu think that Yu Bing was the one who framed him. This way, the old ancestor of House Yu would feel sorry for him and feel indebted to him. He'd give him the medicine to heal his wounds, allowing him to recover his meridians and train again. He still didn't know that his wounds were basically unrecoverable. He was still dreaming. Yushan, on the other hand, dared to lie like this because he knew that Yu Bing hadn't contacted the house for a long time, and they only received a letter from the Ice Palace. It seemed like Yu Bing couldn't contact the house at the moment, so he lied to Yu Bing. Who did he collude with? Old Yu nodded. Lin Yi. Yushan said that Lin Yi, his alias is Ling Yi, but his real name is Lin Yi. I've already investigated him, he's a mystic late phase, Lin Yi. Old Yu frowned upon hearing this name. Oh, then who did you collude with this time? You didn't beat them. I colluded with. Yushan subconsciously wanted to say Zhao Qikuan and Feng Nidian, but he quickly changed his words. I didn't collude with them, I just formed a small team with a few other people. It's normal for teams to fight for spoils, but Yu Bing instigated Lin Yi to beat me up. At this moment, Yushan purposely ignored Feng Nidian's name. If he told them about Feng Nidian, then he wouldn't have any advantage at all. He was in a team with an ancient noble house's disciple, and he still couldn't beat Lin Yi and Yu Bing. That was too embarrassing. Oh, I see. Who were you in a team with? Who can testify for you? Old Yu was expressionless the whole time, other than the slight change in his expression when he heard Lin Yi's name. Yu Bing is training in the Ice Palace right now, and he can't contact the house. I can't just listen to your side of the story, can I? My injuries are the best proof, Grandpa. Yushan quickly said, I'm with Zhao Qikuan of the Hidden House Zhao. If you don't believe me, you can ask him. You and Zhao Qikuan never beat Lin Yi. That Lin Yi is that strong. Old Yu frowned again. This wasn't the first time he heard of Lin Yi's name, he'd heard it a few times. The first time was because of Ning, saying that she fell in love with a man called Lin Yi. Old Yu had been paying attention to this Lin Yi since then. No matter who Lin Yi was, he was the first person his granddaughter liked, so naturally, he would pay attention to him. But when he found out about Lin Yi's strength, as expected, he told Xiaoqin to tell Ning to give up on the idea. What a joke, a golden class early phase master wanting to marry the princess of House Yu. What a joke. But no matter what, Old Yu had some impression of this name, but this name had become a taboo in the hidden House Yu, and no one was allowed to mention it. The next time he heard of Lin Yi was because of the common House Yu. He heard that Lin Yi had killed quite a few people from the common house, and had become a mystic. Of course, Old Yu wasn't surprised that Lin Yi had become a mystic was nothing to him. He was surprised that Lin Yi had the guts to go against the common House Yu, and not only that, he'd killed quite a few of their people. But even so, Old Yu didn't have the intention to stand up for the common House Yu. If someone had to stand up for them, it would be Yu Huixing. He was a person who valued profit, and he wouldn't care about those things. And now, hearing the name Lin Yi again, Old Yu was shocked. Mystic late phase. This leveling speed was really fast. And this time, Old Yu had the intention to go against Lin Yi for the first time. Chapter 1639. If what Yushan said was true, that he really was crippled by Lin Yi, then House Yu had to avenge him. That Lin Yi is really strong. In order to highlight Lin Yi's strength, Yushan didn't hide anything about Naipeo. He told the old man about how Naipeo sucked all of Lin Yi's qi dry, and how he recovered and even broke through. Saint Hall, that amazing. He can recover his strength even after losing it. Old Yu started to pay attention to Lin Yi for the first time. It wasn't because of his practitioner's arts, but it was a magical one that could recover strength quickly. It was indeed very strong, but the old man knew that the practitioner's arts had to be compatible with the body. No matter how strong the arts were, without the body, you wouldn't be able to practice it. Not only would you not be able to practice it, but if you force yourself to practice it, you might go crazy and die. As a result, Elder Yu wasn't interested in stealing other people's arts. House Yu still had a few powerful arts, but they required special constitutions. House Yu's people didn't meet the requirements at all, they couldn't practice it at all. What Old Yu cared about was whether or not Lin Yi had a powerful background. Being able to participate in the Ice Palace test meant that Lin Yi's background wasn't as simple as it seemed. A normal person, or even a normal noble house, wouldn't know about the Ice Palace test, but Lin Yi knew about it and went to participate. This meant that either Lin Yi had a powerful force supporting him, or he had a powerful master behind him. Of course, both of them made sense, since Lin Yi had an ability that allowed him to recover his strength quickly. This made people's imaginations run wild. What shocked Old Yu even more was that Lin Yi dared to go against the everyday sect, even crippling them. This Lin Yi was either too daring, or he had the same strength as the everyday sect behind him. Yes. Otherwise, no matter how weak I am, I wouldn't have lost so badly. Yushan said bitterly. Little Chen, investigate Lin Yi's background for me. No matter what, we have to dig it out. Old Yu ordered Yu Xiaoqin. Father, the truth of this isn't confirmed yet. Xiaoqin didn't have any particular thoughts about investigating Lin Yi, but his father's order meant that he believed Yushan's words, right? We can slowly determine the truth of the matter. Investigating Lin Yi doesn't necessarily mean that we have to deal with Lin Yi. Old Yu said, let's leave it at that for now. Recently, the Noble House Council will be electing a new Grand Elder. I'll see if I can get the position. Don't come to me for small family matters. Yes. Xiaoqin's face turned solemn as he replied. He knew the importance of Old Yu's words, too. If the Noble House Council really did elect a new elder, then a lot of the rules against the hidden houses could be broken. When that happened, it'd be much easier for House U's Earth class to go out and do things. As they were talking, the meeting room door was knocked open. It was Xiaoqin's subordinate, Yu Lu. "Head, the young master of the hidden house Xiao is calling," Yu Lu said as he walked in. If it were a normal person, he wouldn't care so much, but the young master of House Xiao, who was also from a hidden world, called him personally. This was a different matter, and so Yu Lu had to send it over as soon as possible. Yu Xiaoqin looked at his father, who nodded. "Go ahead, ask him what's the matter, and ask Yu Shan about it as well." "Yes." Xiaoqin quickly picked up, "I'm Yu Xiaoqin, head Xiao's brother-in-law. I hope you've been well." The two houses were family. Xiaoqin's sister, Xiao Jin, was Guangyin's wife, so Xiaoqin and Guangyin were very close. "Head Yu, I'm calling this time because there's something I'd like to confirm with you." Guangyin didn't waste any time, getting straight to the point. "Oh. What is it?" "I have something to ask you as well, you can go first," Xiaoqin said. "It's like this." With that, Guangyin told him about how Lin Yi's strength was sucked dry by Naipeo, and how he recovered. "Then I'll have to trouble you, head Yu, to ask your disciple, Yu Shan, and see if this is the case." "Oh. There's no need to ask, I was just about to ask you about this as well." Xiaoqin didn't think that Yu Shan wasn't lying to him, this Lin Yi really was strong, but he still asked, "I want to ask, my Yu Shan said that it was my Yu Bing who worked with Lin Yi to beat him up, is that true?" "Oh. I've never heard of this before, is your Yu Shan alright? How is he?" Guangyin pretended to be concerned, but he didn't really care, his goal was to confirm whether or not Lin Yi was really that strong, he didn't care about anything else. "I'll ask my Chitan about this, why don't I let him tell you directly?" "Alright, that works too. Let Chitan talk to me then," Xiaoqin said, "I'll ask him directly." Qikuan was now Lin Yi's follower, and there was no way he'd cause trouble for Lin Yi if Xiaoqin asked him. Not only did he not speak up for Yu Shan, he spoke up for Yu Bing instead. "The Ice Palace's test has its own rules, it's fine as long as you don't harm your life. This is a rule set by the Ice Palace, so it's normal for people to get hurt in the test. If I were to get hurt, then I can only blame it on my bad luck." That Lin Yi is strong, but he didn't break the rules, otherwise the Ice Palace would have gone after him a long time ago. Qikuan's words were very fairy, he didn't take Lin Yi's side, nor did he take Yu Shan's side. But the more he was like this, the more trustworthy Xiaoqin felt. House Xiao, on the other hand, felt that Qikuan was a very smooth person. Now that they knew how strong Lin Yi was, if they still encouraged House Yu to go after Lin Yi, they'd definitely blame House Xiao when Lin Yi beat them up. Now that Qikuan had spoken his opinion, if House Yu still went after Lin Yi, then they wouldn't be able to blame House Xiao. What they didn't know was that Qikuan considered that Lin Yi hadn't recovered yet, and didn't want to cause trouble for Lin Yi. But no matter what, Xiaoqin had heard what he wanted to hear. As far as he was concerned, Lin Yi was just a small fry, and it didn't matter if he went after him or not. The important thing was Yu Bing's innocence. Chapter 1640. Now, Qikuan's words proved this point. This was the rule in the test, there was no such thing as intentional or not. If you were crippled, it only meant that you weren't as skilled as the other. Yu Xiaoqin was on speakerphone, so he didn't need to explain this time. Everyone in the meeting room could hear it. House Yu's second brother's face was very ugly, but Yu Shan's face was even worse. He didn't think that Qikuan would go back on his words, after all, they were in cahoots. But thinking about it, Qikuan's words were very objective. Qikuan's identity didn't allow him to lie for him, it would be too much of a risk. Alright, things are clear now. Yu Shan wasn't as skilled as the other, and he was crippled. We'll let this go. If we keep this up, it'll show that we don't know the rules, and if we go after Lin Yi now, it'll be a slap to the Ice Palace's face. Old Yu said faintly, the rules are set by them, you can choose not to participate if you don't agree. Even if we want to take revenge on Lin Yi, the ancient sect every day will take the lead, we don't need to be the first bird. Yes. Xiaochen nodded. As long as Yu Bing's responsibility was removed, he didn't care about anything else. Then do we still investigate Lin Yi? We still have to. Old Yu said, we can't do anything now, but we'll remember this, we'll deal with it later. Old Yu knew that his grandson was lying, but he was still injured, after all. If they didn't take revenge, it'd show how weak House Yu was. Some things had to be said. Yes. Xiaochen nodded quickly. The contents of the meeting weren't any secret, it didn't take long for Yu Ning to hear it. She heard that Yu Shan was injured by Lin Yi, and that the house wanted to investigate Lin Yi. She was very worried, but she didn't have anyone to talk to. In the past, when Yu Bing was at home, Yu Ning could discuss things with him, but now that Yu Bing was gone, she didn't have anyone to talk to. In the family, except for Yu Shan, no one else could make Yu Ning open her heart. Even her father and grandfather, although they loved her, they were not optimistic about her love life. So if Yu Ning asked them not to deal with Lin Yi, they would probably deal with Lin Yi faster. In desperation, Yu Ning thought of writing a letter to her brother Yu Bing for help. She didn't have the Ice Palace's contact information, so she could only write a letter to the address on the Ice Palace's invitation and mail it out. However, Yu Ning's approach was really right. If it had been someone else, the Ice Palace would have kept the letter, but Yu Bing and Qijiu were people Xiao Xiao had told to take care of, and so any letters looking for them would be sent to Xiao Xiao immediately. Lin Yi hung up Qikuan's call and finished condensing the energy ball. These days, Lin Yi had been condensing energy balls, and he didn't even leave the house, so Lin Yi decided to go out for a walk. As he left the room, he saw Tang Yun watching TV in the living room. Lin Yi paused. Lin Yi was focused on condensing the energy ball before, so he didn't notice the commotion in the living room. He was surprised to see Tang Yun. Yun, why are you here? It's nothing. Lin Yi, have you recovered your strength? Tang Yun didn't like what her mother brought up, so she wasn't in a rush to say it. She was just worried about Lin Yi's strength. Templar, 7 by 24 hours non-stop updates, pure handwritten TXT novel, not yet, but it's okay, I'm confident. Lin Yi shrugged on purpose so that Tang Yun and the miss wouldn't worry. That's good. Tang Yun didn't suspect anything. I'm here because of my mother, right? She told me to tell you to come with us to the 80th birthday of the head of the Hidden House Tang. Hidden House Tang. Lin Yi paused. Hidden House Tang. Is it related to your family? Tang Yun's words shocked Lin Yi. He didn't know which Hidden House Tang was, but to be considered hidden, it had to be at the same level as the Hidden House Yu and House Zhao. Tang Yun was from this Hidden House Tang. Why hadn't he heard of it before? My family is just a side branch of the Hidden House Tang, and we haven't been in contact for 800 years. I don't know what happened this time, but they sent an invitation to our family, asking us to go to the 80th birthday of the Hidden House Tang. Tang Yun said helplessly and disgustedly, I don't agree with going. When Dad was sick, Mom wrote a letter asking for help, but they ignored us. Now that we're suddenly invited, I think there's something wrong. So that's how it is. Lin Yi understood after hearing Tang Yun's explanation. The side branch of a big family was completely different from the main family. The simplest example was Dr. Kang's House Kong and House Kang's House Kong. Although they were from the same family, they lived a luxurious life, and House Kong was running a small business. How could they be afraid of gangsters? So he said, then what do you mean? Do you want to go? I definitely don't want to go, but Mom. Mom asked me to bring you there to show off, something about returning home in glory. Tang Yun frowned. I just brushed her off, so I came here to stay. If you don't want to go, then I'll stay here until I get there. Ha! Lin Yi knew Mrs. Tang's personality very well. She'd probably been given a lot of cold shoulder back in the hidden house, and now that her son-in-law was strong, she wanted to show it off. But, she probably didn't know what a hidden house was. Hidden houses didn't look up to you just because you had a few companies, they looked up to you. But this was a wish of Mrs. Tang's, and Lin Yi reckoned that she'd take it to heart if he didn't go. Lin Yi hadn't gotten any results from condensing energy balls these past few days, so he might as well go for a stroll. Who knew, maybe he'd find an opportunity to recover. Lin Yi, on the other hand, planned to attend the birthday banquet with Tang Yun as a normal person. This way, he wouldn't stand out, and he wouldn't attract attention. Lin Yi said, "It's fine to go, but returning home in glory. I'm afraid they won't look up to our strength." I know. I told Mom that the hidden houses are mainly practitioners, different from us, but Mom wouldn't listen. Tang Yun said helplessly, "How about we don't go? I'll drag it out, and it'll pass." You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.